Chapter 2004. The heart appeared in Chu Fengmian's hand and was still beating as if it was still alive. Every time the heart in Chu Fengmian's hand beat, there was an incomparably serene demonic intent emitting from it. This heart was the heart of Demon Emperor Blood Demon that Chu Fengmian finally obtained in the Pure Land Buddhist temple. Even though Chu Fengmian had planted layers of restrictions, the heart of Demon Emperor Blood Demon still emitted a shocking demonic intent. This demonic intent was enough to invade the body of a martial artist or a demon god and affect their consciousness. It could even drive them crazy. Demon Emperor Blood Demon had fallen for countless years, but this heart was still beating and contained a shocking demonic intent. Chu Fengmian could not deal with this demonic intent. Chu Fengmian had lived 2 lives and his Tao heart was firm. The demonic intent could not affect Chu Fengmian, but Chu Fengmian also could not deal with the demonic intent in the heart of Demon Emperor Blood Demon. Therefore, Chu Fengmian could only suppress the heart of Demon Emperor Blood Demon in the deepest part of the empty ring. This time, one of Chu Fengmian's purposes in coming to the vast sea star region was to obtain the colored glaze clean water to dissolve the demonic intent in the heart of Demon Emperor Blood Demon. Demon Emperor Shuexia was an invincible demon emperor. Even among the numerous famous demon emperors in the history of the Devil tribe, Demon Emperor Shuexia was the most tyrannical one. According to the records in the ancient books, Demon Emperor Shuexia's strength at his peak was not inferior to the old ancestor of the Devil tribe, the 10 celestial demons. This heart of Demon Emperor also contained a shocking power. It should be known that after such a long time, this heart still contained demonic intent and was still beating. This was enough to prove the terror of this Demon Emperor Blood Demon. The value of Demon Emperor Blood Demon's heart was no less than an immortal weapon. For the experts of the Demon Clan, it was even more priceless. It was impossible to estimate. They could even comprehend the supreme demonic path of Demon Emperor Blood Demon from this heart. Chu Fengmian did not cultivate the demonic path, so the supreme demonic path of Demon Emperor Blood Demon was naturally useless to him. What Chu Fengmian needed was the power contained in the heart of Demon Emperor Blood Demon. Of course, before that, Chu Fengmian had to use the colored glaze clean water to remove the demonic will from the Demon Emperor's heart. Now that Chu Fengmian had obtained a large amount of colored glaze clean water, Chu Fengmian was confident that he could use the colored glaze clean water to remove all the devil intent in the heart of the evil Blood Demon Emperor. However, Chu Fengmian had taken out the heart of the evil Blood Demon Emperor not to refine it, but to use it to deal with the demonic intent in the abdomen of the Origin Whale Emperor. Chu Fengmian held the Demon Emperor Blood Demon's heart in his hand. Soon, waves of demon will emanated from it. Although they were both devil intent, the devil intent in the evil Blood Demon Emperor's heart was completely different from the devil intent in the Yuan Jing Emperor's stomach. The demonic intent in the Origin Whale Emperor's stomach contained a devouring power that was similar to the heaven devouring power. It was constantly devouring this spiritual energy. On the other hand, the devil intent in the evil Blood Demon Emperor's heart had the ability to erode a person's consciousness and turn them into a demonic slave. These 2 types of devil intent were extremely terrifying. Even celestial realm experts were unwilling to face them. If they were given a choice, the devil intent in the evil Blood Demon Emperor's heart would be more terrifying. After all, the devil intent in the Yuan Jing Emperor's stomach could be resisted with spiritual energy. However, the devil intent in the evil Blood Demon Emperor's heart could erode one's consciousness and attack one's Tao heart. No matter how strong a martial artist or demon god was, if their Tao heart was not strong enough, they would be affected by the devil intent in the evil Blood Demon Emperor's heart. If it was light, they would be possessed by the devil intent. If it was serious, they would be turned into a demonic slave and be controlled by the devil intent. In comparison, the devil intent in the Yuan Jing Emperor's stomach could be resisted with spiritual energy and was easier to deal with. However, it was only effective against ordinary martial artists and demon gods. For Chu Fengmian, the devil intent in the evil Blood Demon Emperor's heart could not affect him at all. The devouring devil intent in the Yuan Jing Emperor's stomach was more troublesome for Chu Fengmian. If he was faced with the devil intent in the evil Blood Demon Emperor's heart, Chu Fengmian could cultivate and recover from his injuries. Although he would not be able to gather all his strength to break through to the next realm, he would be able to recover from his injuries and the situation would be much easier for him. Although these two types of devil intent belonged to the demonic Tao, they were completely different. Chu Fengmian took out the evil blood demon emperor's heart to deal with the devouring devil intent. Boundless demonic intent spread out from the heart of the evil blood demon emperor and surrounded Chu Fengmian. This demonic intent collided with the devouring demonic intent in the abdomen of the Yuan whale emperor and started to fight fiercely. The two types of devil intent clashed again and again. Chu Fengmian stood there and waited quietly. In a few minutes, the outcome of the battle was decided. The demonic blood demon emperor was, after all, an invincible demon emperor. The demonic intent left in the demonic blood demon emperor's heart was even stronger than the demonic intent in the origin whale emperor's abdomen. After expelling all the demonic intent in the origin whale emperor's abdomen, a 5-meter circle was drawn out. The devil intent in the evil blood demon emperor's heart occupied the space within the circle. However, the devouring devil intent in the Yuan Jing emperor's stomach was still outside the circle. Although the devil intent in the evil blood demon emperor's heart was strong, it was only emitted from the evil blood demon emperor's heart. Compared to the boundless devouring devil intent, it could only occupy a space of 5 meters. However, this was enough for Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian wanted to use the devil intent in the evil blood demon emperor's heart to deal with the devouring devil intent in the Yuan Jing emperor's stomach. Chu Fengmian came to the 5-meter wide space and sat down. He began to circulate his spiritual energy to heal his injuries. A few elixirs appeared in Chu Fengmian's palm. These were the divine elixirs that Chu Fengmian had obtained from the palace in the sacrificial lake. They had the effect of healing injuries. As the elixirs entered his mouth, Chu Fengmian activated the sky-devouring secret technique and refined them all in an instant. The essence of the elixirs flowed into Chu Fengmian's body. 60% of the 129,600 immortal crystals in Chu Fengmian's body had been shattered by the ocean monarch's continuous attacks. Many of the immortal crystals were broken and their energy had been depleted. They could no longer exert any power. These divine elixirs were refined by the sky-devouring secret skill. Immediately, countless medicinal efficacies poured into the broken immortal crystals. Under the nourishment of the medicinal efficacies, the broken immortal crystals began to reform one after another. End of chapter. Chapter 2005. These divine elixir pills were all from the Sea Sacrifice sect's treasury. The weakest one was a divine elixir pill of the Middle Ages. Any one of these divine elixir pills could be sold for a sky-high price, attracting countless experts to fight over them. This time, in order to recover the 60% of the broken immortal crystal, Chu Fengmian had swallowed more than 30 divine elixir pills in one breath. A large amount of medicinal efficacy poured into the immortal crystal and reformed it. Such a sacred elixir was no less valuable than a life for those in the half-step celestial realm, or even for those in the celestial realm. In times of extreme crisis, such a sacred elixir could save a life. Now, Chu Fengmian had swallowed more than 30 divine elixir pills in one breath. It was extremely extravagant. However, Chu Fengmian could still afford such extravagance. This time, Chu Fengmian sneaked into the palace of the sacrificial lake and seized 1/10 of the divine elixir pills in the palace. The divine elixir pills in the palace were dazzling like stars in the sky. There were more than 100,000 of them. Although Chu Fengmian had only seized 1/10 of them, he had seized more than 10,000 divine elixir pills, which was an astronomical figure. It was impossible for any celestial realm expert to have more than 10,000 divine elixir pills. Moreover, this time, Chu Fengmian had killed Lan Ming, the guardian elder, and the patriarch of the Sea Sacrifice sect. The three of them were important figures in the Sea Sacrifice sect and had countless divine elixir pills on them. Now, Chu Fengmian was so rich that he didn't care about swallowing more than 30 divine elixir pills in order to recover from his injuries. A large amount of medicinal efficacy poured into the immortal crystal. Soon, all the immortal crystals were reconstructed and restored to their previous strength. However, at the same time, demonic shadows suddenly appeared in Chu Fengmian's mind. These demonic will contained boundless power and tempted him. As long as Chu Fengmian opened his Tao heart and accepted these demonic shadows, he would possess invincible power. These demonic shadows were eroded by the demonic will in Demon Emperor Shuexia's heart. Although the demonic will in Demon Emperor Shuexia's heart wouldn't devour Chu Fengmian's power, it was enough to affect Chu Fengmian's mind. While Chu Fengmian was fully focused on recovering from his injuries, the demonic will eroded Chu Fengmian's consciousness and lured him in. The power contained in the demonic shadows was irresistible to all martial artists and fey gods who pursued strength. If one could not control the temptation of ascending to the heavens in a single step, one would fall completely under the control of the demonic will. However, Chu Fengmian's eyes were incomparably cold. With a cold snort, all the demonic shadows exploded in Chu Fengmian's mind and disappeared. His Tao heart was strong enough to subdue the King of Heart Demons. Although the remaining demonic will in Demon Emperor Blood Demon's heart was enough to affect Chu Fengmian, it was impossible for it to erode Chu Fengmian. Of course, this was because Chu Fengmian's Tao heart was strong enough to resist the demonic will. Secondly, it was also because Chu Fengmian was not cultivating but recovering from his injuries, so he could split his consciousness to deal with the demonic will. The effects of such demonic intent on normal days were still manageable. Most warriors and fey immortals could withstand it. However, when one had no time to divert one's attention, this kind of devil will would become incomparably troublesome and difficult to deal with. Regardless of whether it was when one encountered a powerful enemy or when one was making a breakthrough, one would be eroded by the devil will if one was unable to divert one's attention to deal with the devil will. In history, many experts who eventually succumbed to the demonic will had been eroded by the demonic will when they encountered a strong enemy. They could not resist it and succumbed to the demonic will. Chu Fengmian did not dare to break through the realm under the erosion of the demonic will, but it was not a problem for him to recover from his injuries and cultivate. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days passed. Chu Fengmian's broken immortal crystals had been completely restored. All the broken immortal crystals had been reformed. At the cost of more than 30 divine elixir pills, the countless pure medicinal efficacy not only reformed the broken immortal crystals, but also transformed them into the power of the immortal crystals. Although the power of the reformed immortal crystals was far less than the 40% transformed by the immortal power, they were still much stronger than when they were broken by the ocean monarch. His injuries were completely healed. Chu Fengmian was relieved. After recovering from his injuries, Chu Fengmian would be able to escape from the Origin Whale Emperor's stomach if he had the chance. What Chu Fengmian needed to do now was to wait for an opportunity. He needed to wait for the Origin Whale Emperor to fight with someone or for an accident to weaken the defense of the inner world. That would be the opportunity for Chu Fengmian to escape. However, this opportunity would not be easy to wait for. Chu Fengmian was not anxious. He sat quietly in the Origin Whale Emperor's stomach. In front of him, Chu Fengmian took out countless jade bottles from his spatial ring and opened them all. Beside Chu Fengmian, besides the demonic will that affected one's mind, there was also the pure medicinal fragrance. Chu Fengmian had plundered a large number of divine elixir pills from the palace of the sacrificial lake. These divine elixir pills were extremely useful for Chu Fengmian's improvement, especially those with body-refining effects. They could help Chu Fengmian refine his immortal true body. Chu Fengmian had originally planned to leave the Cunhai Star region and find a safe place to slowly refine these divine elixir pills. However, the Origin Whale Emperor's stomach was actually a safe place. Other than the devouring demonic will, there was nothing else that could affect Chu Fengmian. The devouring demonic will, along with the heart of the evil blood demon emperor, had no effect on Chu Fengmian. The Origin Whale Emperor's stomach was now the best place for Chu Fengmian to cultivate. Chu Fengmian was waiting for the right time to refine these divine elixir pills. Chu Fengmian took out a bottle of divine elixir pills. It was the ancient divine elixir pills used for body refining, Jianwang divine elixir pills. There were more than a dozen Jianwang divine elixir pills in the jade bottle. Chu Fengmian opened the jade bottle and immediately activated the sky-devouring secret technique to refine all the Jianwang divine elixir pills. The Jianwang divine elixir pills were instantly crushed by the sky-devouring secret technique and turned into countless pure medicinal efficacies. They poured into the immortal crystals and were devoured by the immortal crystals. In a few minutes, the medicinal efficacies of the Jianwang divine elixir pills were completely devoured. The power of the immortal crystals only increased by 1 point. The 129,600 immortal crystals in Chu Fengmian's body had undergone many transformations. The more power they contained, the more divine elixir pills they needed to increase their power. End of chapter. Chapter 2006. More than a dozen Jianwang saint pills were just a drop in the bucket for Chu Fengmian. However, Chu Fengmian wasn't in a hurry. He now had a total of 10,000 saint pills. Just the saint pills of the body refining down numbered more than 1,000. He refined and swallowed them bit by bit to upgrade his immortal true body. Although Chu Fengmian's strength couldn't match Reverence Ocean Emperor's, it was the power of his immortal true body that allowed him to escape from Reverence Ocean Emperor's pursuit time and time again. If he could transform the remaining 60% of his immortal crystals, Chu Fengmian would be able to escape unscathed even if he couldn't defeat Reverence Ocean Emperor. As the Saint Elixir pills were devoured and refined, Chu Fengmian's immortal true body and 129,600 immortal crystals were transforming little by little. Although the effects of these Saint Elixir pills weren't as direct as immortal stones, they were more effective in enhancing the immortal crystals. These body-refining path Saint Elixir pills were originally refined to refine the physical body. The power contained within them was integrated into the immortal crystals, causing the immortal crystals to transform one by one. Chu Fengmian couldn't determine the limits of his immortal true body, but he knew that his immortal true body was still far from a true expert's immortal true body. At least compared to the bronze heavenly demon's immortal true body, it was still many levels away. Chu Fengmian still needed to go through many transformations before he could push his immortal true body to great completion. The limit of the immortal true body was that he could fight an immortal emperor with his physical body. If Chu Fengmian could improve his immortal true body to such a level, he would become an unparalleled figure among countless immortal emperors when he stepped into the immortal emperor realm in the future. However, Chu Fengmian also knew that it was too early to think about this. His priority now was to wait for the right time to escape from the Yuan Whale Emperor's belly. Apart from waiting for the right time, the only thing Chu Fengmian could do was cultivate. 3 months passed quickly. Although Chu Fengmian had encountered countless fortuitous encounters after coming to the vast sea star field, he hadn't had the time to cultivate in seclusion and comprehend. For example, Chu Fengmian had never had the opportunity to comprehend the sword Tao totem he had obtained in the Sea Sword sect. The 3 months of closed-door cultivation gave Chu Fengmian the opportunity to comprehend the sword Tao totem. This sword principle totem was the second sword principle totem. It recorded a dazzling array of swordsmanship. Even Chu Fengmian couldn't comprehend all of them in a short time. Many of the swordsmanship recorded in the sword principle totem were extremely obscure and difficult to understand. Therefore, for some weaker warriors, they did not know the value of the sword principle totem at all. It was even more difficult for them to comprehend swordsmanship from it. Only experts above the celestial realm could truly understand the value of this sword principle totem. During the 3 months of seclusion, Chu Feng spent the first 2 months swallowing saint pellets to refine his immortal true body. The 60% immortal crystal that had yet to transform had become much stronger after 2 months of refinement. However, Chu Fengmian lacked immortal stones and immortal power, so he couldn't completely transform the 60% immortal crystal. However, Chu Fengmian had swallowed hundreds of saint pellets. Countless medicinal efficacies had accumulated in the immortal crystals. As long as Chu Fengmian obtained a batch of immortal stones, he could use immortal power to upgrade the immortal crystals. The medicinal efficacies hidden in the immortal crystals would also be released at the same time. Once they were upgraded, the immortal crystals would receive incomparably huge benefits and their power would increase crazily. Without immortal stones, the power of the immortal crystal had reached its peak. Therefore, Chu Fengmian stopped refining the immortal crystal. In the remaining month, Chu Fengmian wholeheartedly immersed himself in comprehending the Sword Dao Totem. The ancient book of Sword Principle had condensed in front of Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian comprehended the swordsmanship in the Sword Principle Totem bit by bit. In the ancient book of Sword Principle, the pages that recorded the brand new swordsmanship also condensed page by page. In 1 month, Chu Fengmian had comprehended as many as 900 swordsmanship from the Sword Principle Totem. This number was simply enough to establish a new sword sect. Even an upper sword sect might not have so many swordsmanship. In particular, the swordsmanship recorded in the Sword Principle Totem was different from the swordsmanship that had been simplified countless times in the future. It was the most ancient swordsmanship. Although they were obscure and difficult to understand, and difficult to cultivate, they all contained shocking power. If several of the swordsmanship were combined and activated together, the power that erupted would not be inferior to the power of an immortal technique. However, what Chu Fengmian valued was not the power of these swordsmanship, but the comprehension of the sword principle in these swordsmanship. The swordsmanship was integrated into the 9 regions sword principle by Chu Fengmian. The power of the ancient book of sword principle became more and more tyrannical. At the same time, Chu Fengmian's power was also increasing crazily. Chu Fengmian's strength was closely related to the ancient book of sword principle. The more swordsmanship integrated into the ancient book of sword principle, the more Chu Fengmian's strength would similarly increase. A total of 900 swordsmanship had been integrated into the ancient book of sword principle. Chu Fengmian's realm had also officially stepped into the peak of the half-step celestial realm. Chu Fengmian had broken through to the half-step celestial realm only 3 months ago. Now, after another 3 months, Chu Fengmian's realm had reached the peak of the half-step celestial realm. If the news of such a fast speed of improvement spread out, it was afraid that it would cause a storm. Even the most heaven-defying geniuses in history had not improved their realm so fast. However, Chu Fengmian also knew that his realm had improved so fast in order to obtain the Sword Principle Totem. Any Sword Principle Totem, if obtained by a sword cultivator, would be an absolute treasure, enough to make the sword cultivator become a sword cultivator of a generation. Now, Chu Fengmian had a total of 4 Sword Principle Totem in his hands. It should be known that a Sword Principle Totem could be used as the foundation to establish a sect and establish a force like the Sea Sword sect. Chu Fengmian had obtained a total of 4 Sword Principle Totem and even used them to create the 9 region swordsmanship. That was why Chu Fengmian's realm had improved so fast. Without the Sword Principle Totem, Chu Fengmian's strength could not have improved so fast. In this Sword Principle Totem, there were 900 swordsmanship recorded. None of them were hidden, and Chu Fengmian had comprehended them all. However, Chu Fengmian knew that these 900 swordsmanship were not what he wanted the most. There was still an incomplete swordsmanship hidden in this Sword Principle Totem. End of chapter. Chapter 2007. Although the Sword Principle Totem contained a total of 900 powerful ancient swordsmanship, the Sword Principle Totem was still very powerful. The Sea Sword sect swordsmanship was created by combining the 900 ancient swordsmanship. However, Chu Fengmian knew that the 900 ancient swordsmanship could not be compared with the incomplete swordsmanship hidden in the Sword Principle Totem. The incomplete swordsmanship was a swordsmanship that pointed to the origin of sword principle. The reason why Chu Fengmian's swordsmanship in this life could improve by leaps and bounds, far surpassing that of his previous life, was because of the incomplete swordsmanship that he comprehended from the Sword Principle Totem. With the help of the incomplete swordsmanship, Chu Fengmian truly touched the origin of sword principle. A part of the incomplete swordsmanship was hidden in each Sword Principle Totem. The incomplete swordsmanship was hidden so deeply that even many sword principle experts could not detect it. Chu Fengmian discovered it for the first time by accident. Later, Chu Fengmian deliberately searched for it and found the secret that each Sword Principle Totem contained a part of the incomplete swordsmanship. Go! Chu Fengmian's mind moved and a shocking sword essence condensed in his palm. Suddenly, Chu Fengmian's palm moved and fell. The shocking sword essence was injected into the Sword Principle Totem by Chu Fengmian's palm. In an instant, a dazzling light appeared in the sword principle totem. Ancient characters emerged from the depths of the sword principle totem. The ancient characters formed a part of the incomplete swordsmanship. Chu Fengmian had already comprehended the second and third sword principle totem and combined the incomplete swordsmanship. This time, he found that the incomplete swordsmanship recorded in the second sword principle totem was similar to the incomplete swordsmanship recorded in the third and fourth sword principle totem. It was not the first time that Chu Fengmian had comprehended the incomplete swordsmanship. Now, he was very familiar with it. Soon, the incomplete swordsmanship was pieced together by Chu Fengmian. The moment the incomplete swordsmanship was pieced together, Chu Fengmian suddenly felt a shocking sword essence flash past. Although this sword intent flashed, Chu Fengmian sensed it in an instant because the tyrannical power of this sword intent made Chu Fengmian feel a kind of power. The origin of sword Dao. The sword intent that flashed through the incomplete swordsmanship contained the power of sword principle origin. Chu Fengmian's sword principle had already reached the peak of the sword god realm. His attainments in sword principle had surpassed those recorded in history. Since ancient times, only a few people had reached Chu Fengmian's level. The moment Chu Fengmian sensed the sword intent, he suddenly had a new understanding of his sword principle. It seemed that he wanted to go in a higher direction and attack the illusory sword principle origin. Chu Fengmian sensed the flashing sword intent. It seemed that Chu Fengmian had vaguely touched the next threshold. Chu Fengmian knew that this was the realm above the sword god realm, the threshold that was close to the sword principle origin. Once he crossed this threshold, Chu Fengmian would surpass countless sword principle experts in history and even surpass Chu Fengmian's master, the Lord of Sword Principle. However, it was extremely difficult to cross this threshold. It could even be said that it was something that was impossible to do. For example, the Lord of Sword Principle was an invincible immortal emperor, but he had not crossed this threshold. His sword principle level had always been stuck at the peak of the sword god realm. Although he was sprinting towards the sword principle origin, he had not crossed this threshold. At most, he had gone further than Chu Fengmian on the road to the sword principle origin. It was the same for the famous number 1 sword emperor. The origin of sword principle was a realm that countless sword principle experts throughout history had never crossed. Even the first sword emperor, the Lord of Sword Principle, and other invincible figures were only attacking the threshold of the sword principle origin. They had gone further, but they had not really crossed this level. Chu Fengmian had comprehended the secrets of the sword principle totem. From the incomplete swordsmanship, Chu Fengmian had vaguely touched the threshold of the sword principle origin. It could be said that Chu Fengmian's hope of attacking the sword principle origin in the future was greater than that of the Lord of Sword Principle and the first sword emperor. However, Chu Fengmian was still unable to rely on the incomplete swordsmanship recorded in the 4 sword principle totems. The appearance of the sword intent had indeed allowed Chu Fengmian to touch the threshold of the sword principle origin. However, the sword principle origin was still an illusory existence for Chu Fengmian. Only when Chu Fengmian obtained more sword principle totems and completely pieced together the incomplete swordsmanship would he have a chance to really attack the sword principle origin. Although he had failed to attack the sword principle origin, Chu Fengmian was not sad. The benefits he had obtained from the sword principle totems were already great enough. The 900 ancient swordsmanship in the sword principle totems had been integrated into Chu Fengmian's 9-region swordsmanship, allowing Chu Fengmian, who had just stepped into the half-step celestial realm, to reach the peak of the half-step celestial realm. The benefits were already great enough. As for the sword principle origin, Chu Fengmian was still unable to attack it. However, Chu Fengmian already knew the secrets of the sword principle totems. As long as Chu Fengmian could obtain more sword principle totems and piece together more of the incomplete swordsmanship, Chu Fengmian could attack the sword principle origin again and again. Chu Fengmian still remembered that there were several sword principle totems in the 9-region Shang sword sect. As far as Chu Fengmian knew, there were 5 sword principle totems in Shang sword sect 10,000 years ago. One of them was won by Chu Fengmian during the 9 regions genius battle. Now, there were at least 4 sword principle totems in Shang sword sect. As long as Chu Fengmian could obtain these 4 sword principle totems, even if he could not attack the sword principle origin, his 9-region swordsmanship and his strength would advance by leaps and bounds. Chu Fengmian had not fought against the 7 major sects because he was weak. Moreover, Chu Fengmian was also worried that there were celestial realm experts in the 7 major sects, so he did not want to alert them. However, after coming to the Cunhai Star Zone this time, Chu Fengmian had obtained countless opportunities. His current strength was enough to fight immortals. He could even kill immortals in the celestial realm. With such strength, Chu Fengmian already had the capital to test the 7 major sections. The hatred of killing his master was irreconcilable. Even now, Chu Fengmian knew that it was not the 7 major sects who killed the master of sword principle, but the legendary Tianjiu regions. However, the fall of sword principle sect was also related to the 7 major sections. Set a small goal first, such as 1 second to remember. Book Guest House Mobile Edition. Chapter 2008. Back then, the 7 major sects had joined forces to invade the Sword Dao sect. Many of Chu Fengmian's senior brothers and sisters had died under the pursuit of the 7 major sects. This hatred alone was enough for Chu Fengmian to destroy the 7 major sects. When Chu Fengmian returned to the 9 regions, it would be time for Chu Fengmian to take his revenge. The comprehension of the Sword Dao totem is over. Chu Fengmian glanced at the sword principle totem, then put it into the empty ring and sealed it properly. Although Chu Fengmian had already comprehended all the swordsmanship in the sword principle totem and integrated it into the 9-region swordsmanship, there was no need for him to continue comprehending the sword principle totem. Chu Fengmian had a feeling that the Sword Dao totem was hiding an even deeper secret. Where did the Sword Dao totem come from? There were many different opinions in the ancient books, but there was no answer. Originally, Chu Fengmian thought that the Sword Dao totem might have been created by a Sword Dao Grandmaster like the Sword Dao Master. However, the more he comprehended the Sword Dao totem, the more this idea disappeared from his mind. The 900 ancient sword techniques were nothing to the master of the Sword Dao. With his strength as an immortal emperor, creating sword techniques was a piece of cake. However, Chu Fengmian couldn't figure out what kind of expert, an invincible giant, could create the incomplete swordsmanship in the Sword Dao totem. The incomplete sword technique pointed directly to the origin of Sword Dao. The expert who could create the incomplete sword technique was definitely an invincible figure who had mastered the origin of Sword Dao. However, there had never been such a person in history. It was simply impossible. Such an invincible figure, a Sword Dao master, would definitely be recorded in countless ancient books and passed down. It was impossible for there to be no trace of him. Therefore, Chu Fengmian suspected that there was an even greater secret hidden in the Sword Dao totem. Although Chu Fengmian had comprehended all the Sword Dao totems, they were still firmly in his hands. Boom! Just as Chu Fengmian was thinking, the Origin Whale Emperor's stomach suddenly spun. What's going on? Chu Fengmian's eyes flickered. The Origin Whale Emperor seemed to have been alerted by someone. 3 months later, someone had actually alerted the Origin Whale Emperor. Could it be that someone accidentally entered the center of the chaotic ocean and alerted the Origin Whale Emperor? Chu Fengmian's eyes flickered. Just as he was about to take a closer look, a huge wave of energy swept across the Origin Whale Emperor's stomach. At the same time, Chu Fengmian could feel the anger of the Origin Whale Emperor. No, someone is fighting with the Origin Whale Emperor. Chu Fengmian had been in the belly of the Origin Whale Emperor for 3 months and had already gained some understanding of the internal world of the Origin Whale Emperor. Although it was impossible for Chu Fengmian to escape, he could still sense the Origin Whale Emperor's movements. As long as the Origin Whale Emperor made a move, it would appear in the inner world. Initially, when Chu Fengmian saw the ripples, he thought that he had accidentally entered the depths of the chaotic ocean and awakened the Origin Whale Emperor. Such things weren't rare. Although the chaotic ocean was extremely dangerous, it was full of mysteries that attracted many martialists and demon immortals to explore the chaotic ocean. However, Chu Fengmian suddenly realized that it wasn't because someone had accidentally entered the chaotic ocean. Instead, it was because a powerhouse had suddenly entered the chaotic ocean and exchanged blows with the Origin Whale Emperor. Chu Fengmian had been waiting for a powerhouse to exchange blows with the Origin Whale Emperor. This way, Chu Fengmian could take advantage of this opportunity to escape from the Origin Whale Emperor's internal world. However, to Chu Fengmian's disappointment, the collision of power only lasted for a moment before it disappeared. It seemed like the powerhouse who had exchanged blows with the Origin Whale Emperor had admitted that he was no match for the Origin Whale Emperor and fled immediately. The Origin Whale Emperor couldn't leave the chaotic ocean. As long as he escaped the chaotic ocean, he would be able to avoid being hunted down by the Origin Whale Emperor. Therefore, powerhouses like the Sacrificial Ocean Emperor might not be a match for the Origin Whale Emperor, but they could still escape unscathed. Who exactly is it that dares to have designs on the Origin Whale Emperor? Chu Fengmian's eyes flickered as he pondered. The Origin Whale Emperor was the overlord of the chaotic ocean. No one in the entire vast sea star system was a match for him. Now that someone had taken the risk to make a move on the Origin Whale Emperor, there had to be some ulterior motive. However, Chu Fengmian couldn't figure out what this ulterior motive was. Chu Fengmian was currently in the Origin Whale Emperor's stomach. Although he could sense that someone had exchanged blows with the Origin Whale Emperor, Chu Fengmian didn't know who it was. Therefore, he could only speculate. After that person escaped, the Origin Whale Emperor also returned to the deepest part of the ocean and remained silent. However, Chu Fengmian's expression changed all of a sudden. He suddenly sensed that the demonic intent in the Origin Whale Emperor's stomach was flowing away. Chu Fengmian searched carefully. After spending a few hours, he finally discovered that there was a crack in the internal world of the Origin Whale Emperor's stomach. The crack was only the size of a thumb, making it almost impossible to detect. However, it was precisely through this crack that streams of demonic will flowed out. Although it wasn't much, Chu Fengmian had stayed in the Origin Whale Emperor's stomach for 3 months. Therefore, he was very familiar with the situation inside. Therefore, Chu Fengmian was sensitive enough to detect the slight changes in the demonic intent. Someone actually injured the Origin Whale Emperor? Chu Fengmian's eyes were filled with disbelief at the sight of the crack. The internal world of the Origin Whale Emperor was equivalent to a part of his body. As long as the Origin Whale Emperor was injured, there would be a crack in the internal world. Now that this crack had appeared, it meant that the Origin Whale Emperor was injured. The Origin Whale Emperor had actually been injured in the previous exchange, which had caused a crack to appear in his internal world. Can I leave through this crack? Chu Fengmian's eyes lit up. Although he didn't know who had attacked the Origin Whale Emperor and injured him, there was a crack in the internal world of the Origin Whale Emperor. However, an opening had appeared in the Origin Whale Emperor's internal world. This meant that Chu Fengmian had hope of leaving the Origin Whale Emperor's belly. After being trapped for 3 months, Chu Fengmian finally saw a glimmer of hope. End of chapter. Chapter 2009. Without the slightest hesitation, Chu Fengmian urged his spiritual energy and transformed his body into a beam of light. He suddenly rushed towards the crack in the Origin Whale Emperor's internal world. The beam of light compressed Chu Fengmian's body to the smallest possible size. He wanted to use the crack to escape from the Origin Whale Emperor's internal world. However, when Chu Fengmian's streak of light approached the crack, he sensed that his streak of light had been blocked by a force. Although a crack had appeared in the Origin Whale Emperor's internal world, this crack was too small. It simply couldn't accommodate Chu Fengmian's body and allow him to escape. Chu Fengmian tried several times in a row but to no avail. It still doesn't work. After several attempts, Chu Fengmian also understood that this small crack was not enough for Chu Fengmian to escape from the internal world of the Yuan Whale Emperor. He had to widen the crack. However, Chu Fengmian did not dare to act rashly. He was now trapped in the Origin Whale Emperor's internal world. In the Origin Whale Emperor's opinion, Chu Fengmian was already a dead man. That was why it allowed Chu Fengmian to cultivate inside. However, if Chu Fengmian were to cause a commotion and be noticed by the Origin Whale Emperor, Chu Fengmian would be the first to be killed by the Origin Whale Emperor. The Origin Whale Emperor was an immortal marquis in the profound heaven realm. Its strength was extremely terrifying and could easily kill Chu Fengmian with a single blow. Chu Fengmian had to be extremely cautious. Although my body can't pass through, my spiritual consciousness shouldn't be a problem. Chu Fengmian observed the crack. Although the crack was so narrow that Chu Fengmian's physical body couldn't pass through, since it could allow the demonic will to flow out, Chu Fengmian's spiritual consciousness should also be able to leave. Although Chu Fengmian couldn't escape from the Yuan Whale Emperor's stomach through this crack, he could still use his spiritual awareness to observe what was going on and who was dealing with the Yuan Whale Emperor. Then, Chu Fengmian would be able to find an opportunity to escape. Chu Fengmian's mind stirred. He urged his spiritual sense to approach the crack. When this streak of spiritual awareness approached the crack, it didn't suffer great repulsion like when Chu Fengmian's body approached it. This made Chu Fengmian happy. He stealthily sent a wisp of his spiritual sense through the crack and flew out. After leaving the inner world, Chu Fengmian's spiritual consciousness returned to the chaotic ocean. From afar, it seemed like the Origin Whale Emperor was still in a deep slumber in the center of the chaotic ocean. Behind the Origin Whale Emperor, there was a long spear protruding from its back. The spear pierced the Origin Whale Emperor's back and seemed to have pierced deeply into his flesh. Chu Fengmian could tell that it was this spear that had pierced the Origin Whale Emperor's back that had created a crack in his internal world, allowing Chu Fengmian's spiritual consciousness to escape. This spear is an immortal weapon? Chu Fengmian observed the long spear. There was billowing demonic will emanating from the long spear. The demonic will seemed to have penetrated into the Yuan Whale Emperor's body and was consuming his strength. Being able to penetrate the Origin Whale Emperor's body meant that the grade of this immortal weapon was definitely not low. In fact, it was even higher than the East Forest Ocean Monarch's trident. What surprised Chu Fengmian was the demonic intent emanating from the spear. This immortal weapon of the demonic Tao was definitely a supreme treasure of a demonic Tao expert. The person who had just fought the Origin Whale Emperor was actually a demonic Tao expert. Chu Fengmian had long heard that there were many demonic Tao experts in the chaotic ocean. There were even some demonic Tao giants and terrifying demons in the celestial realm. However, this was just a rumor. Chu Fengmian had never seen it with his own eyes. Now that he saw the spear, he knew that the rumor was true. However, why would a demonic Tao expert attack the Origin Whale Emperor at this time? Chu Fengmian could tell that this spear had been deliberately left on the Origin Whale Emperor's back by the demonic Tao expert in order to continuously consume the Origin Whale Emperor's energy. This was obviously a plan for him to deal with the Origin Whale Emperor next time. This chaotic ocean is indeed hiding a shocking secret. However, I don't need to get involved. Since someone wants to deal with the Origin Whale Emperor, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me. Chu Fengmian thought to himself. He was now trapped in the Origin Whale Emperor's internal world. Only when the Origin Whale Emperor was engaged in a battle or was injured could Chu Fengmian find an opportunity to escape from the Origin Whale Emperor's internal world. It was definitely a good thing for Chu Fengmian that someone wanted to deal with the Origin Whale Emperor. However, Chu Fengmian was also very clear that these demonic Tao giants were all existences that killed without batting an eyelid. If they wanted to deal with the Origin Whale Emperor, they would definitely do something earth-shattering. If they discovered Chu Fengmian's existence, it was very likely that he would be killed by them. Therefore, Chu Fengmian couldn't let his guard down. He had to find an opportunity to escape from the battle between the Origin Whale Emperor and the demonic Tao experts. Someone is coming? At this moment, Chu Fengmian suddenly felt a wave of spiritual power. This wave of spiritual power was transmitted from the edge of the chaotic ocean. It seemed like a ray of light had descended to the edge of the chaotic ocean. Following the awakening of the Origin Whale Emperor, many martial artists and demonic Tao immortals that were hiding in the chaotic ocean had either left the chaotic ocean or gone into hiding. It was extremely rare to see a ray of light descending in such a swaggering manner. Especially in this wave of spiritual power, Chu Fengmian felt a faint immortal power. Although it wasn't pure immortal power, it was definitely a power that only martial artists and demonic Dao immortals who had undergone the sky-human tribulation could possess. There was actually a sky-human realm expert who had come to the edge of the chaotic ocean. Let's go and take a look. Chu Fengmian's eyes were solemn as he quietly concealed his figure. This figure was condensed from his spiritual consciousness and concealed by a secret technique. Even a sky-human realm expert wouldn't be able to discover Chu Fengmian's trace in a short period of time. Moreover, Chu Fengmian's current body was hidden in the Origin Whale Emperor's stomach. Even if his spiritual consciousness was discovered, as long as he self-destructed his spiritual consciousness, no one would be able to detect Chu Fengmian's trace. In such a safe situation, Chu Fengmian wanted to go and take a look. He wanted to know who was targeting the Origin Whale Emperor. Set a small goal first, such as 1 second to remember. Book Guest House mobile version. Chapter 2010. Chu Fengmian's spiritual consciousness quietly approached. Although the spiritual consciousness of a martial artist demon god was limited in range, now that Chu Fengmian had stepped into the half-step celestial realm, his spiritual consciousness had also been completely upgraded. Originally, Chu Fengmian had lived 2 lives, so his spiritual consciousness was ridiculously strong, far surpassing martial artists and demon gods of the same realm. Now, Chu Fengmian's spiritual master was even stronger than the average celestial realm elite. As long as it was in the chaotic ocean, Chu Fengmian's spiritual consciousness could explore. This wave of spiritual energy came from the edge of the chaotic ocean. Chu Fengmian approached, and before he even got close, he could feel several powerful auras. To be able to make Chu Fengmian feel powerful, they were at least celestial realm elites. 10? A total of 10 celestial realm elites? How is this possible? 2 of them have transcended mortality and become immortals, and have condensed immortal power? How can there be so many elites here? The closer Chu Fengmian got, the more he could feel the terrifying auras. These celestial realm elites did not hide their strength, so Chu Fengmian could feel it at a glance. At the edge of the chaotic ocean, there were a total of 10 celestial realm elites gathered. 2 of them had transcended mortality and condensed immortal power, and stepped into the immortal general realm. It could be said that they were not inferior to the worshipping Ocean Emperor. Chu Fengmian did not expect that there was a group of such powerful people hidden in that Sunhai Star Zone. Let's go and take a look. Chu Fengmian originally thought that the ones who had dealt with the Yuan Jing Emperor were the demon Dao elites hidden in the chaotic ocean, but now, a total of 10 celestial realm elites had appeared, completely destroying Chu Fengmian's guess. There were definitely not that many demon Dao elites hidden in the chaotic ocean. One must know that these demon Dao elites hid in the chaotic ocean because of the boundless demonic will in the chaotic ocean, which was beneficial to their cultivation. The second reason was that these demon Dao elites were not a match for the Sea Sacrifice sect, so they had been hiding in the chaotic ocean. If these demonic cultivators had such terrifying strength, they would have destroyed the Seashore sect long ago and taken control of the Sunhai Star region. The last time Chu Fengmian had barged into the sacrificial lake, he hadn't forced all of the Sea Sacrifice sect's experts out, but he had at least forced most of them out. If there were so many Devil Dao experts hidden in the chaotic ocean, they would have been able to sweep through the Sea Sacrifice sect long ago. They wouldn't have been hiding in the chaotic ocean. Although the demonic Dao powerhouses could escape the pursuit of the Seashore sect by hiding in the chaotic ocean, there was still the threat of the Origin Whale Emperor. The Origin Whale Emperor had been corroded by the demonic will and had sunk into madness. Anyone who provoked him would be killed by the Origin Whale Emperor. The number of demonic experts hidden in the chaotic ocean who had died at the hands of the Origin Whale Emperor was not a small number. Therefore, when Chu Fengmian sensed that there were 10 celestial realm experts, he felt that these people were definitely not just the demonic Dao experts of the chaotic ocean. Chu Fengmian's spiritual awareness crept closer. He immediately saw many figures standing in the middle of the chaotic ocean. Each of the figures had a different power. 5 of them were standing on the back of an enormous primary whale. Powerful demonic intents were being emitted from their bodies. These 5 people were all demonic Dao experts. They were all hidden demonic Dao giants in the chaotic ocean. It was no wonder that there were rumors that there were many devil Dao powerhouses hidden in the chaotic ocean. These 5 celestial realm experts were also an extremely tyrannical force. Although they weren't as strong as the Seashore sect, they were still more tyrannical than the other 2 major forces of the Sanhai Star region, the North Sea Temple and the Sea Sword sect. Among the 5 devil Dao powerhouses, the leader was a white-haired old man. He looked very ordinary, no different from an ordinary old man. If he was placed in a crowd, it would be difficult for people to notice him. However, the demonic will exuding from his body made Chu Fengmian shudder. This person's power wasn't inferior to the Reverend Ocean Emperor's. Chu Fengmian sensed that this white-haired old man was one of the 2 immortal generals. In addition to these 5 devil Dao powerhouses, the other few people had different auras. 2 of the figures weren't human, but oceanic race experts. One of the oceanic race experts contained a shocking sword will. It was the Seaside Sword Ocean Emperor that Chu Fengmian had seen before. The Seaside Sword sect's old ancestor, the Seaside Sword Ocean Emperor, was also among the 10 people. The other oceanic race expert's strength was very close to the Seaside Sword Ocean Emperor's. His aura was somewhat familiar to Chu Fengmian. It was the aura of the North Sea Temple's cultivation technique. When Chu Fengmian had just arrived in the Sanhai Star region, he had encountered a group of North Sea Temple disciples who wanted to snatch Chu Fengmian's immemorial centipede. In the end, they were all killed by Chu Fengmian alone. The aura of the other oceanic race expert was that of the North Sea Temple's cultivation technique. This should be the North Sea Temple's old ancestor, the Seaside Emperor. Chu Fengmian recalled this in his mind and roughly guessed the identity of this oceanic race expert. In terms of strength, the North Sea Temple and the Seaside Sword sect were on par. Since this person's strength was very close to the Seaside Sword Ocean Emperor, he was most likely the North Sea Temple's old ancestor, the Seaside Emperor. As for the other 3 people, Chu Fengmian couldn't tell their origins for a moment. The remaining 3 people were all young people who looked to be in their 20s. Although the age of a martial artist couldn't be judged by their appearance, Chu Fengmian felt that the real age of these 3 people was around 100 years old. A celestial realm expert who was around 100 years old, no matter which force he was in, was an absolute genius. The young man leading the group gave off a unique aura. Although he was young, he gave off the feeling that he was in control of everything and the world was within his grasp. His gaze was above all things in the world. Although he wasn't arrogant, he revealed the confidence that he had everything under his control. Even if this person hid his aura, it was still possible to feel that he was extraordinary. Moreover, the power exuded from this young man was pure immortal power and not spiritual power. Among the 10 people, there were a total of 2 immortal generals. One of them was the leader of the demonic path, and the other was this young man. End of chapter. Chapter 2011. This young man was only 100 years old. Not only had he ascended to immortality and entered the celestial realm, but he had also entered the last realm of the celestial realm, the immortal general realm. Chu Fengmian was shocked to see this young man. Chu Fengmian had seen a lot of big shots and geniuses, but he had never seen such a monstrous genius like this young man. To enter the immortal general realm at the age of 100 was simply unbelievable. To be able to pass the celestial tribulation at the age of 100 and enter the celestial realm and become an immortal was already a great achievement. It was enough to be recorded in ancient books and passed down for generations. The young man in front of him had reached the peak of the celestial realm and entered the immortal general realm at the age of 100. Anyone who saw this would be shocked. This person is definitely not a martial artist from the Sanhai Star region. Chu Fengmian thought that the young man in front of him was definitely not a warrior from the Sanhai Star region. After all, this person had already entered the immortal general realm at such a young age. If he was a warrior from the Sanhai Star region, he would have been famous already. It was impossible for him to be unknown. The rise of a monstrous genius was not something that could be achieved by seclusion. It was better to fight a bloody battle than to cultivate for thousands of years. Every expert had gone through many life and death battles to achieve their current strength. Therefore, there was no such thing as a genius expert who had suddenly appeared. For example, the other immortal general, the white-haired old man on the side of the demon path experts. Although he was also an immortal general expert, Chu Fengmian could see that he was definitely a super antique from the same era as the ocean worship emperor. He must have lived for tens of thousands of years. His rise was too long ago, so it was normal that there were very few records of him in the Sanhai Star region. The ocean worship sect was the reason why the name of the ocean worship emperor could be passed down. Without the ocean worship sect, the martial artists and demon gods of the Sanhai Star region would not know of such a person. This young man was not more than 100 years old. He was definitely not a hidden antique. The only explanation was that this young man was not a martial artist from the Sanhai Star region, but came from another star region like Chu Fengmian. Young Master Yan, we have indeed invited the three of you here to deal with the Yuan Whale Emperor. However, don't you think your appetite is a little too big? You want 70% of the loot with just the three of you? While Chu Fengmian was still observing these people, a voice suddenly sounded. It was a celestial realm powerhouse with a ferocious face from the devil path. He was looking at the young celestial general who had addressed him as Young Master Yan. Young Master Yan? This name was obviously a code name. Chu Fengmian had never heard of it before. However, from the words of the Demon Dao expert, Chu Fengmian could confirm that these people were indeed here to deal with the Black Whale Emperor. That was why they had gathered at the edge of the chaotic ocean. However, Chu Fengmian still didn't know why they were attacking the Origin Whale Emperor. Chu Fengmian didn't make any sound and just listened quietly. The Yuan Whale Emperor has been guarding the immemorial treasure of the Black Whale all this while. The treasures in the treasure are endless. Don't you think it's a little too much to ask for 70% of the loot with the 10 of us joining forces and only 3 of you from the Immortal Jade sect? Another celestial realm powerhouse, the old ancestor of the Seasward sect, the overlooking Sword Ocean Sovereign, also spoke. In my opinion, the 10 of us should divide the immemorial treasure of the Black Whale equally. What do you think? The old ancestor of the North Sea Palace, the Northern Mountain Ocean Sovereign, also spoke. That's right. There are 10 of us in total. It's just right to divide the immemorial treasure equally. Another expert from the Devil Path said. His words were in agreement with the Northern Mountain Ocean Sovereign's words. Divide equally? What a joke. Without our help, do you think you can deal with the Yuan Whale Emperor with just the few of you? The Yuan Whale Emperor is an immemorial rare beast that has already stepped into the immortal Marquis realm. One of the 3 young men suddenly spoke. His tone was filled with boundless arrogance as he glanced at the crowd and sneered. The few of you are just taking advantage of the situation. Giving you 30% of the loot is already extremely benevolent. What's wrong? Are you still not satisfied? The young man spoke and glanced at the crowd, his tone was filled with disdain. This sentence caused the other celestial realm experts' expressions to change abruptly. Each and every one of their faces turned extremely ugly. They were all celestial realm powerhouses, great figures in the vast sea star field. Especially the overlooking Sword Ocean Sovereign, the Northern Mountain Ocean Sovereign and the others, they were the ancestors of their respective sections. Their status was extraordinary. Everyone who saw them was extremely respectful. When had they ever been looked down upon like this? Although it's true that we were able to kill the Yuan Whale Emperor with your help, don't forget that the Immortal Jade sect isn't the only one who wants the Black Whale Emperor's treasure. The Lihan Heaven and the Realm Devil Heaven have many people who are interested in the Yuan Whale Emperor as well. The Immortal Jade sect isn't the only one that we have to cooperate with. Before the overlooking Sword Ocean Sovereign and the Northern Mountain Ocean Sovereign could speak, the demonic path powerhouse couldn't help but speak with a cold smile. The Black Whale Emperor's treasure is in our vast sea star field after all. His tone was filled with a hint of threat, no longer as pleasant as before. Presumptuous. The vast sea star field is nothing. It's just a mere second-grade star field. If it were the people from the realm Devil Heaven or Lian Heaven, they would have some qualifications to bargain with us. A mere second-grade star field is not even worth mentioning in front of our immortal Jade sect. How dare you negotiate with us like an ant? The eyes of the young man who had spoken earlier from the immortal Jade sect's group of 3 flickered with killing intent. It's because the Black Whale Emperor's treasure is in the vast sea star field that we gave you 30% of the loot. This is already giving you face. If you don't know what's good for you, you won't even get 30% of the loot. The young man spoke with an extremely arrogant tone. He didn't take the threat in the demonic path powerhouse's words seriously at all. Hearing this, the 7 Sky Realm powerhouses from the vast sea star field revealed a hint of anger in their eyes. However, every time they heard the words Immortal Jade Sect, the anger in their eyes would dissipate. They were extremely afraid of the Immortal Jade Sect. Immortal Jade Sect? What kind of force is this? Why are these people so afraid of it? Chu Fengmian could also see that although the 7 Sky Realm powerhouses from the vast sea star field were extremely angry at the 3 of them, they didn't dare to make a move because they were afraid of the Immortal Jade Sect. Set a small goal first, such as 1 second to remember. Book Guest House Mobile Edition. Chapter 2012. This force called Immortal Jade Sect was able to make Celestial Realm experts extremely wary and even fearful. This was especially true for the 3 people from the Immortal Jade Sect. Their tone was extremely arrogant. When they spoke, they mentioned the Lian Heaven and the realm Devil Heaven. It was as if they didn't care about the 2 saint domains at all, and were on equal footing with them. Such arrogance. Could it be that Immortal Jade Sect is a force from Jianwang Heaven? Chu Fengmian's eyes flickered as he pondered. The name of the 3 sacred realms was known to everyone. The only force that could be on equal footing with Lian Heaven and Realm Demon Heaven was Jianwang Heaven, one of the 3 sacred realms. Although the 4th sacred realm, Tianjiu Domain, existed, Tianjiu Domain had long disappeared. If Tianjiu Domain reappeared, it would be enough to shake the world. It couldn't be unknown. Therefore, Chu Fengmian guessed that the sect of these 3 young men, Immortal Jade Sect, was most likely a force from Jianwang Heaven. The 3 of them came from sacred realms, which was why they had such heaven-defying aptitude. In this way, it could be explained why they were unknown. If the 3 of them were martial artists in a place like Shanghai Star Zone, they would already be famous. However, if they were martial artists from sacred realms, their aptitude wasn't too dazzling. There were countless geniuses in the 3 sacred realms. These 3 people could only be considered as one of the countless geniuses. Although they weren't unknown, they hadn't reached the point where they could shake the world. Therefore, it was extremely normal that no one had heard of their names. Chu Fengmian also guessed that these 3 people might be from sacred realms. Chu Fengmian had met a few martial artists from Jianwang Heaven when he was in the 9 regions. They were young and had already reached half-step celestial realm. They were absolute geniuses. These 3 people were even more talented than the martial artists from Jianwang Heaven that Chu Fengmian had met in the 9 regions. People from Jianwang Heaven are actually here for the Xianjing secret treasure? The Yuanjing Emperor has been guarding the Xianjing secret treasure? At the same time, from their conversation, Chu Fengmian also understood the purpose of these people to deal with the Yuanjing Emperor. The Xianjing secret treasure. The dark whale, one of the innate divine beasts, was the ancestor of thousands of oceanic species. Chu Fengmian didn't even dare to imagine how many treasures were left behind by the mysterious whale. Xiantian divine beasts were absolute overlords in that ancient era. If they wanted to plunder and build a secret trove, there would be more treasures than any ancient sect's treasure trove. The Yuan Whale Emperor had never left the chaotic sea. Chu Fengmian had guessed that he was guarding something, but Chu Fengmian would never have guessed that he was guarding the Xianjing hidden treasure. This time around, there were so many experts gathered here. Obviously, the Black Whale hidden treasure was not just a rumor, it really existed. The Origin Whale Emperor had been guarding the Black Whale hidden treasure for a long time. As such, they had to kill the Origin Whale Emperor before they could truly obtain the Black Whale hidden treasure. Now, these people were arguing endlessly. They were arguing about how to divide the spoils after obtaining the Xianjing hidden treasure. One should know that the treasures in the Xianjing hidden treasure were comparable to the Buddhist temples of the 9 domains. Even 10% of the treasures would be priceless. This time, the 3 people from the Immortal Jade sect were extremely ambitious. They wanted 70% of the spoils in one go. Of course, the Demon Dao, the Overlooking Sword Ocean Emperor and the Northern Mountain Ocean Emperor were unwilling to see such a distribution. Demon Slayer Emperor, what do you think? Just as the argument was going on, a voice suddenly sounded. This voice was incomparably calm, but there was a sense of truth in it. It was just a casual sentence, but it was irrefutable. When they heard those words, the voices of the 2 people from the Immortal Jade sect and the experts from the demonic Dao who were arguing with each other came to a sudden stop. No one dared to open their mouths. Numerous gazes were cast toward the white-haired old man leading the demonic Dao group. The name Demon Slayer Emperor came from this white-haired old man. As an expert of the Demon Dao, it was indeed strange for him to have the name Demon Slayer. However, Chu Fengmian had killed Lan Ming and the others and stolen their memories. He still remembered many experts in the history of the Canhai Star Field. He also knew the origin of the name Demon Slayer Emperor. This Demon Slayer Emperor was once a super genius of the human race in the Canhai Star Field tens of thousands of years ago. It was said that he had passed the heavenly tribulation and reached the immortal realm when he was 100 years old. In that era, Demon Slayer Emperor was one of the most dazzling geniuses. He and the Overlooking Sea Emperor were absolute overlords of that era. They were the 2 most dazzling geniuses. Demon Slayer Emperor used to hate evil and the Demon Dao. He once killed his way into the chaotic ocean alone for 7 days and 7 nights. No one knew how many experts of the Demon Dao he had killed. However, he was also bathed in demonic blood. One day, he suddenly turned demonic and escaped into the chaotic ocean, becoming an expert of the Demon Dao in the chaotic ocean. A peerless expert suddenly turning into a demon. This kind of change wasn't rare in history. The most famous one was the evil demon Emperor Shuexia. The Supreme Buddha of the Pure Land Buddhist sect, the pinnacle existence of the Buddhism Tao, the Supreme Buddha of the Pure Land Buddhist sect, was possessed by the devil and became the famous blood-evil demon emperor. Demon Slayer Emperor was the same. He was invaded by the Demon Dao and escaped into the Demon Dao. It's this old man. It's said that Demon Slayer Emperor has disappeared for tens of thousands of years. So, he has been hiding in the chaotic ocean all this time and still has such shocking strength. According to the rumors in the Canhai Star Field, Demon Slayer Emperor had fallen long ago. Now, it seemed like Demon Slayer Emperor was still alive and had even entered the immortal general realm. His strength was boundless. Young Master Yen spoke directly to Demon Slayer Emperor, ignoring everyone else. In his eyes, it seemed like the Sword Overlooking Sea Emperor, the Northern Mountain Ocean Emperor and the others were not worthy of talking to him. The only one who could talk to him was Demon Slayer Emperor. 70% is indeed too much. Let's split it 60 to 40. You get 60% and I get 40%. How about that? The Demon Slayer Emperor opened his eyes and looked at young Master Yen. His tone was extremely calm. No matter how one looked at him, the Demon Slayer Emperor looked like an ordinary old man. He definitely didn't look like a peerless demon emperor. However, Chu Fengmian knew that there was a story about Demon Slayer Emperor in the history of the Canhai Star Field. On the first day that Demon Slayer Emperor turned demonic, he slaughtered dozens of sects in the Canhai Star Field. Almost all the living beings in the sea were killed by Demon Slayer Emperor alone. Genius memorized this address in 1 second. Mobile version of reading website, M. Chapter 2013. The Demon Slayer Emperor was definitely not as benevolent as he looked. As he spoke, he looked at young Master Yen. Under his gaze, young Master Yan's expression changed slightly. He only spoke after a while. Alright, we'll split it 60 to 40 then. Young Master Yan's words represented the attitude of the Immortal Jade sect. They agreed to the Demon Slayer Emperor's proposal. Demon Slayer Emperor, hearing this, the Northern Mountain Ocean Emperor and Linjian Ocean Emperor frowned and looked at the Demon Slayer Emperor. They seemed to want to say something, but when they saw the ferocious look in the Demon Slayer Emperor's eyes, they swallowed their words. Since there are no objections, let's plan how to deal with the Yuan Whale Emperor. The Demon Slayer Emperor said slowly. A staff appeared in his hand. This staff seemed to be made from the bones of a person's arm. There were complicated runes on it. These runes were actually immortal runes. This staff was refined from the arm of an immortal warrior. It was a staff that was refined from the arm of an immortal warrior. Anyone who saw it would shiver in fear. The Immortal Destroyer Staff. The pupils of the Northern Mountain Ocean Emperor and the others shrunk when they saw the scroll. There was a hint of fear in their eyes. The Yuan Whale Emperor has been injured by my demonic weapon. His strength is less than half of his peak. With the 10 of us working together, it's more than enough to deal with the Yuan Whale Emperor. Let's kill him first, then we'll enter the Xianjing secret treasure and split the treasures. The Demon Slayer Emperor said as he looked at young Master Yan. What do you think, young Master Yan? In the vast sea star field, the Demon Dao experts all respected the Demon Slayer Emperor. The other Demon Dao experts naturally wouldn't disagree with the Demon Slayer Emperor. Although the Northern Mountain Ocean Emperor and Linjian Ocean Emperor didn't belong to the Demon Dao, their strength was far from the Demon Slayer Emperor's. They didn't dare to go against the Demon Slayer Emperor. The only person they needed to ask was young Master Yan. Let's do it. Young Master Yan nodded without batting an eyelid. There was no change in his expression. Seeing that young Master Yan had agreed, the Demon Slayer Emperor stepped forward and said, let's not delay. There's no time to lose. Let's go and kill Yuan Jing Emperor now. As the Demon Slayer Emperor spoke, he took the lead and flew towards the chaotic ocean. Young Master Yan and the others followed behind. 10 rays of light flew towards the center of the chaotic ocean. The war is about to begin. Chu Fengmian's heart skipped a beat. The moment he saw the Demon Slayer Emperor flying over, Chu Fengmian hurriedly dispersed his spiritual consciousness to prevent the Demon Slayer Emperor from discovering him. The Black Whale Secret Treasure. If I can get it, the treasures inside would be enough for me to break through to the celestial being stage. Inside the Yuan Whale Emperor's stomach, Chu Fengmian sat there, carefully thinking about what he had just seen and heard. The most important thing was the Dark Whale hidden treasure. The Demon Slayer Emperor, young Master Yan, and the others had gathered so many experts for the legendary Black Whale hidden treasure. They were going against the Origin Whale Emperor because he was the guardian of the Black Whale hidden treasure. Someone had come to deal with the Origin Whale Emperor. Chu Fengmian had wanted to take advantage of the chaos to escape and not get involved in this mess. But this time, the Black Whale hidden treasure was involved. Although Chu Fengmian was alone and it was almost impossible to take away the Black Whale hidden treasure in front of so many experts, he still had to try. Chu Fengmian might not be able to take away the entire Black Whale hidden treasure. Even if he only got a part of it, it would be a great fortune for him. Just like the palace Chu Fengmian encountered in the sacrificial lake, he had only taken 1/10 of the divine elixir pills. That was 10,000 divine elixir pills, which was more than the number of divine elixir pills Chu Fengmian had seen in his life. Chu Fengmian had used up all his accumulated wealth when he tried to break through to the half-step celestial being stage. Now, he did not have a single immortal stone. It could be said that he was broke. Since the Xianjing secret treasure was collected by the Xianjing divine beast, the treasures in it must be priceless. There must be a lot of immortal stones in it. All of this made Chu Fengmian change his mind. The Black Whale hidden treasure was worth a try. Chu Fengmian was hiding in the belly of the Origin Whale Emperor. It could be said that he was in the best place. Even people as strong as the Demon Slayer Emperor and young Master Yan could not detect his existence. Chu Fengmian could take advantage of their bloody battle to be the first to sneak into the Black Whale hidden treasure and plunder it. Speaking of being a thief, the current Chu Fengmian could be said to be very familiar with it. He had stolen the sword Dao totem of the Sea Sword sect and snuck into the sacrificial lake. Each time, he had obtained incomparably great benefits. The black whale hidden treasure was right in front of him. Of course, Chu Fengmian would not let it go. Boom! Just as Chu Fengmian was thinking, a wave of demonic will had already rushed over. The entire Origin Whale Emperor's inner world began to shake and the sky and earth began to spin. At the same time, Chu Fengmian also felt a boundless anger. The siege of the Demon Slayer Emperor, young Master Yan and the others had begun. 10 Celestial Realm experts launched an attack at the Origin Whale Emperor at the same time. For a moment, the mountains and rivers were shattered. The aftershock of the impact killed countless martial artists and demon immortals hiding in the chaotic ocean. Even a half-step celestial being realm expert would find it hard to withstand such a powerful aftershock. Martial artists and demon immortals below the 9 Tribulations Ancient Emperor realm did not even have the slightest ability to resist. As long as they were slightly affected by the aftershock, they would be shaken to death. 10 Celestial Realm experts, 2 of which were at the peak of the Celestial Realm and the Immortal General Realm experts, attacked together. The power was incomparably strong. If Chu Fengmian was in the center of this power, he would be blasted to death. He would not be able to resist at all. Fortunately, Chu Fengmian was hiding in the Origin Whale Emperor's inner world, so he would not be affected by it. The Origin Whale Emperor's inner world was originally a cage for Chu Fengmian. But now, it was a natural barrier that could help Chu Fengmian resist the impact of the external forces. The joint forces of these 10 people are really terrifying. Chu Fengmian hid in the Origin Whale Emperor's inner world. Although he could not see the scene outside, Chu Fengmian could feel how terrifying the joint forces of these 10 people were through the spiritual energy waves alone. 10 Celestial Realm experts working together. Before coming to the vast Sea Star region, Chu Fengmian would not have dared to imagine such a scene. Even the Origin Whale Emperor, who was at the Profound Heaven Realm and Immortal Marquis Realm, was forced to retreat under the joint forces of these 10 people. It was difficult for him to resist the joint attacks of these 10 people. Set a small goal first, such as 1 second to remember. Book Guest House mobile version. Chapter 2014. The Yuan Whale Emperor was already in a state of madness. His actual strength was not even comparable to a true immortal marquis, not to mention that he was already injured. When the demonic spear pierced into the flesh of the Origin Whale Emperor, it constantly consumed the Origin Whale Emperor's power, causing him to only have about 70% of his original strength. However, even so, the Origin Whale Emperor still unleashed his overwhelming power and swept his body aside in the face of the besiegement of the 10 martialists. Although the Yuan Whale Emperor's body was incomparably huge, his speed was also extremely fast. One should know that Chu Fengmian's escape light was far slower than the Yuan Whale Emperor's speed. The 10 Celestial Realm experts, except for the Demon Slayer Emperor and young Master Yan, were all sent flying. So strong. Chu Fengmian's expression changed slightly. The Yuan Whale Emperor had already gone mad and was severely injured. Even so, he was still able to counterattack against the joint attack of the 10 Celestial Realm experts. Seeing the Yuan Whale Emperor's attack, Chu Fengmian dared not imagine how terrifying a true immortal marquis would be. An expert who had gone mad and possessed consciousness were completely different. Even if their strength was the same, their strength would be completely different. If the Origin Whale Emperor had its own consciousness, it would have been able to kill and injure these 10 sky humans in a few moves. He would not be in such a disadvantageous position like he was now. The Origin Whale Emperor sent the 8 Celestial Realm experts flying. Then, he charged forward, intending to follow up with another attack. However, the Demon Slayer Emperor suddenly made his move. When they were besieging the Yuan Whale Emperor, the Demon Slayer Emperor had been accumulating his strength instead of using his full strength. This time, he poured all his demonic will into the Immortal Extermination Scepter in his hand. Suddenly, the Immortal Extermination Scepter swung down from the sky. The boundless demonic will turned into a huge palm that pressed down and slammed heavily on the Yuan Whale Emperor's back. the gigantic demonic palm slammed down from the sky. Even a heavenly human realm expert would not be able to withstand it. Yuan Jing Emperor's body trembled as he let out a long roar after taking on the demonic palm. At this moment, the mysterious young Master Yan also made his move. He pointed his finger and an image suddenly appeared in the air. The image came crashing down with a loud bang. The power of this image was even stronger than the demonic palm formed by the demon-slaying Emperor's immortal extermination scepter. Boom! After enduring so many consecutive attacks, even the Origin Whale Emperor was starting to feel like he couldn't hold on much longer. Even the Yuan Whale Emperor wasn't a match for the 10 Sky Human Realm powerhouses when they joined forces. He was on the verge of collapsing. Countless cracks had already appeared in the internal world of the Origin Whale Emperor where Chu Fengmian was. The entire internal world was on the verge of shattering. If Chu Fengmian wanted to leave the internal world of the Yuan Whale Emperor, he could do so at any time. However, Chu Fengmian didn't act rashly. If Chu Fengmian suddenly went out, he would definitely be attacked by the 10 Celestial Realm experts. They would not want others to know about the secret of the Black Whale hidden treasure. Once Chu Fengmian was besieged by the 10 Celestial Realm experts, he would not be able to escape no matter how many tricks he had up his sleeves. Previously, Chu Fengmian had to resort to all sorts of methods and almost died to the monarch's hands. This time, there were 2 immortal generals among the 10 Celestial Realm experts, who were comparable to the Ocean Reverence Emperor. Chu Fengmian did not want to be besieged. Although the Yuan Whale Emperor was severely injured, he was still an immortal Marquis Realm primordial rare beast. He managed to repel the attacks of the Demon Slayer Emperor, young Master Yan and the others. However, this was also because the Demon Slayer Emperor, young Master Yan and the others did not go all out against the Yuan Whale Emperor. If they really went all out, they would have killed the Yuan Whale Emperor long ago. Although the Yuan Whale Emperor was seriously injured, he still possessed enough strength to kill a Celestial Realm expert at any time. Even the Demon Slayer Emperor and young Master Yan did not dare to take the risk, fearing that they would be injured by the Yuan Whale Emperor's final counterattack. Now that the Yuan Whale Emperor was severely injured, he would die sooner or later. The Demon Slayer Emperor and the others were not willing to take the risk. Half an hour passed. Chu Fengmian was fully focused on the battle outside. The Yuan Whale Emperor had less than 1/10 of his strength left. He could be killed by the Demon Slayer Emperor and the others at any time. Chu Fengmian was also carefully observing the situation. Once the Yuan Whale Emperor fell, Chu Fengmian would no longer be able to hide. At that time, Chu Fengmian would have to find an opportunity to escape. Outside, in the chaotic ocean, the Yuan Whale Emperor's body was covered in wounds. Under the siege of the 10 Celestial Realm experts, he was on the verge of collapse. The 10 Celestial Realm experts were well aware of the situation. The Yuan Whale Emperor can't hold on much longer. Don't waste time. Kill him. Let's go for the treasure. Kill. After a few discussions, the 10 Celestial Realm experts decided not to delay any longer. They would use all their strength to kill the Yuan Whale Emperor. The 10 Celestial Realm experts unleashed their full strength at the same time. For a moment, their immortal energy boiled, and their demonic will soared to the sky. The 10 Celestial Realm experts exuded a shocking aura as they unleashed their strongest killing moves at the Yuan Whale Emperor. Among the 10 auras, the most powerful ones were the auras of the Demon Slayer Emperor and young Master Yan. Their auras were enough to shock the heavens. Just one of them was more terrifying than the other 8 Celestial Realm experts' auras combined. In an instant, countless killing moves descended and swept towards the Yuan Whale Emperor. In the face of so many killing moves, the Yuan Whale Emperor could no longer resist. Roar! With an earth-shattering roar, the Yuan Whale Emperor turned around and swam towards the center of the sea. It seemed like he was going to escape into the center of the sea. The Yuan Whale Emperor is going to escape into the Xianjing secret treasure. Seeing this, the Northern Mountain Ocean Emperor was overjoyed. Originally, after killing the Yuan Whale Emperor, they still needed to search for the Xianjing secret treasure. However, if the Origin Whale Emperor wanted to escape into the Black Whale's secret treasure, it would save them the time to search for the Black Whale's secret treasure. As long as they chased after the Origin Whale Emperor, they could follow the Origin Whale Emperor into the Black Whale's secret treasure. After him. Set a small goal first, such as 1 second to remember. Book Guest House mobile version. Chapter 2015. Without any hesitation, the 10 Celestial Realm experts activated their escape lights and chased after the Yuan Jing Emperor. All of them were extremely excited, as if they could already imagine that the Black Jing Emperor's secret treasure was right in front of them and within their reach. How could they not be excited? Even a little treasure from the Black Jing Emperor's secret treasure would be a great fortune for them. The 10 escape lights quickly chased after the Yuan Jing Emperor and flew towards the Eye of the Chaotic Essence Sea. However, at this moment, something strange happened. Suddenly, a crack tore open in the Chaotic Qi Sea. Suddenly, a surge of boundless spiritual qi descended and blocked the 10 streaks of light. Following the arrival of this spiritual force, 5 figures suddenly flew out from the crack. Each of the 5 figures contained a terrifying aura. Without exception, they were all Celestial Realm experts. At this moment, another 5 Celestial Realm experts arrived. Among the 5 Celestial Realm experts, 2 of them looked familiar to Chu Fengmian. They were Sea Emperor Dong Lin and Sea Emperor Ji Hai from the Sea Sacrifice sect. Chu Fengmian wasn't surprised by the arrival of the East Forest Ocean Emperor and the Reverence Ocean Emperor. The Black Whale hidden treasure was a huge treasure trove even for the Reverence Ocean Emperor. Now that the Black Jing Emperor's secret treasure was in the Sanhai Star Field, Sea Emperor Ji Hai would not let it go. Nothing that happened in the Sanhai Star Field could escape Sea Emperor Ji Hai's eyes. Sea Emperor Ji Hai naturally knew about the opening of the Black Jing Emperor's secret treasure. Chu Fengmian was surprised that the Ocean Emperor did not show up earlier on. But now, it seemed like the Ocean Emperor must have been waiting by the side for a long time. Furthermore, the demon-slaying Emperor wasn't the only one who had found a helper. The Ocean Emperor had found a helper as well. The 3 martial artists beside him were not weaker than the 3 from Yen Prince's side. In fact, they were even stronger than the 3 from Yen Prince's side. These 3 warriors were all young men. Judging from their age, they were very close to young Master Yan's group. The 3 of them contained a faint demonic intent. The leading young man among the 3 was not weaker than Yen Prince. He had also reached the peak of the Celestial Realm and was in the Immortal General Realm. However, in terms of aura, the young man's aura was vaguely stronger than Yen Prince's. These 3 cultivators should also be genius cultivators from the 3 great holy domains. It was just unknown which holy domain they belonged to, and which force they belonged to. The Demon Slayer Emperor's and Yen Gongzi's expressions changed slightly when they saw the 5 figures. It was as if they hadn't expected this. The young man appeared and swept his gaze across the area below. The corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile as he spoke. "Looks like you have arrived just in time. Yen Tiangang, do you really think that the few of you can monopolize the Xianjing secret treasure?" Yen Yan's real name. Yen Gongzi's strength was unparalleled in the Sanhai Star Zone. Even the Demon Slayer Emperor addressed Yen Tiangang as Yen Gongzi. Devour, however, this young man had addressed Yen Tiangang by name the moment he opened his mouth. This meant that he did not place Yen Tiangang's identity in the slightest. It should be said that this young man's status was not inferior to Yen Tiangang's at all. That was the reason why he did not care about Yen Tiangang's origin. Blood Moon Monarch. Yen Tiangang snorted coldly when he saw the young man. He recognized the young man's identity. Blood Moon Monarch? This isn't a genius from the realm Devil Heavens. It's said that he's a genius who inherited the bloodline of one of the 10 great royal families. Hearing this name, the Bailing Ocean Emperor and the Linjian Ocean Emperor's expressions changed. They seemed to have heard of this name before. Compared to the Great Haven Law Starfield and the Yama Starfield, the Vast Sea Starfield was a Grade 2 starfield. The Biling Ocean Emperor and the Linjian Ocean Emperor were not ignorant of the affairs of the three great sacred regions. They had also heard of some of the dazzling geniuses of the three great sacred regions. They seemed to have heard of the name of Bloody Moon Evil Master. The 10 royal families were the descendants of the 10 celestial demons, the ancestors of the ancient demon tribe. The Bloody Moon Demon Master had inherited the bloodline of one of the 10 celestial demons. He was known as the royal family of the demon tribe and was extremely powerful. Yan Tiangang was already the most amazing genius Chu Fengmian had ever seen. Although Bloody Moon Evil Master was younger than Yan Tiangang, his strength was already above Yan Tiangang. He had completely surpassed Yan Tiangang. Therefore, even the Biling Ocean Emperor and the Linjian Ocean Emperor of the vast sea starfield had heard of the Blood Moon Monarch before. Even the people of the realm Demon Sky have appeared. When Chu Fengmian saw the arrival of the Blood Moon Monarch, he had not expected the Dark Whale secret treasure to be so involved. First, the genius martial artists of the Jianwang heaven had arrived. This time, even the genius martial artists of the realm Demon Sky had come. The realm Demon Sky was the most mysterious of the three sacred realms. This was because it was different from the Jianwang heaven, which was dominated by the human race, and the Lian heaven, which was dominated by the 100 races. The realm Demon Sky was a sacred realm dominated by the demon race. They were not demon immortals who cultivated the demon path, but pure demon race that had inherited the bloodline of the 10 sky demons. Therefore, the people from the pacification realm would not appear in the other starfields. Chu Fengmian had met Yu Wuhan of the Lian heaven before. He had also met a few martial artists of the Jianwang heaven who had set their sights on the Swordway sect. However, this was the first time Chu Fengmian had met someone from the realm Demon Sky. The Dark Whale secret treasure was indeed a treasure left behind by an innate divine beast. Now, it had attracted the attention of the people of the three sacred realms. The Ocean Worship Monarch had probably noticed that the Demon Slayer Emperor and Yan Tiangang had joined forces. Therefore, he had enlisted the help of the Blood Moon Monarch of the realm Demon Sky. Although there were only 5 people on the Ocean Worship Monarch's side, which was twice as many as Yan Tiangang's and the Demon Slayer Emperor's side, the outcome of the battle was still uncertain. The Blood Moon Monarch alone would be difficult for Yan Tiangang to deal with. The Blood Moon Monarch, who had inherited the bloodline of the 10 great royal races, might be able to take on 2 or 3 demon immortals of the same level. Even if Yan Tiangang and the Demon Slayer Emperor joined forces, they might not be a match for the Blood Moon Monarch. Therefore, the Blood Moon Monarch only had 5 people on the Ocean Worship Monarch's side. However, the Ocean Worship Monarch and Yan Tiangang's side did not dare act rashly. Loading up next chapters. Chapter 2016. At this time, even the experts of the celestial realm did not dare to act rashly. No one dared to be the first to stand out. However, the Ocean Worship Emperor's side did not dare to act rashly either. Both sides were in a stalemate. This is an excellent opportunity. While these people are in a stalemate, I should enter the Black Jing secret treasure and plunder it first. Chu Fengmian thought excitedly as he watched the stalemate outside. This stalemate was the best opportunity for Chu Fengmian. The Origin Whale Emperor was already exhausted and didn't have much energy left when he dived into the depths of the Eye of the Sea. Now that the internal world of the Origin Whale Emperor no longer had any restrictions on Chu Fengmian, he could easily explore it with his spiritual consciousness and see an ancient door behind the Origin Whale Emperor's body. This ancient door had existed for at least hundreds of thousands of years. The power on it was extremely ancient. However, even after such a long time, the ancient door still contained an extremely tyrannical power. Hundreds of thousands of years had not been able to loosen the restriction array formation on this ancient door. This kind of power could not be underestimated. It's the power of the mysterious whale. Even if the person who set up this door was not the real mysterious whale, he must have been an ancient ancestor of the Origin Whale clan. Otherwise, it would not have been possible to possess such pure mysterious whale power. When Chu Fengmian sensed the power of the mysterious whale on the ancient door, he knew very well what was behind it. It could only be the Black Jing's secret treasure. The Origin Whale Emperor was standing guard in front of the door. It seemed like he was going to fight to the death. Although the Origin Whale Emperor had gone crazy, the command in his bloodline told him to protect the mysterious whale's secret treasure even if he had to die. Let's go! The Origin Whale Emperor was seriously injured and did not have much strength left. Hence, he was unable to stop Chu Fengmian. The Black Jing's secret treasure was right in front of him. If he did not enter now, when would he? If Chu Fengmian waited until Ocean Monarch, Devil Slayer Monarch and the others arrived, he would lose this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Even though Chu Fengmian's strength had improved compared to the time when he fought Ocean Monarch, Chu Fengmian still couldn't defeat Ocean Monarch. However, if Chu Fengmian were to face an immortal general, he still wouldn't be able to contend against them. The gap between immortal energy and spiritual energy wasn't something that Chu Fengmian could make up for with his various fortuitous encounters. Unless he obtained a large amount of immortal stones and burned them, he wouldn't be able to do so. Whoosh! Chu Fengmian suddenly turned into an escape light and flew out of the internal world of the Yuan Whale Emperor. Chu Feng had been lying dormant in the Origin Whale Emperor's internal world. He had been waiting for this opportunity for so long. His body flickered repeatedly as he flew towards the ancient door. Roar! The Origin Whale Emperor sensed Chu Fengmian's presence in an instant. He could tell that Chu Fengmian wanted to enter the mysterious whale's secret treasure. He couldn't help but be enraged to the extreme. His boundless power spurred the waves to bombard Chu Fengmian. Immortal True Body! Chu Fengmian let out a long roar. The 129,600 immortal crystals in his body exploded with a loud rumble. The immortal crystals merged into Chu Fengmian's body one after another. These 129,600 immortal crystals formed a great formation around Chu Fengmian's body. It was an invincible formation that could defend against all attacks in the world. These 129,600 immortal crystals had been refined by swallowing countless saint pills while he was in the mysterious Whale Emperor's stomach. Their defensive power was far greater than before. Moreover, the Origin Whale Emperor was now an oil lamp at the end of its life. He had less than a tenth of his strength left. The power of this wave was no longer as terrifying as before. Chu Fengmian pushed the power of his immortal true body to the extreme and forcefully resisted the attack of the wave. However, even if the Origin Whale Emperor had less than a tenth of his strength left, the power of this wave was still more terrifying than Chu Fengmian had expected. Chu Fengmian's body trembled continuously. The immortal crystals that had just been reconstructed showed signs of shattering. Fortunately, the Origin Whale Emperor didn't have much strength left. After unleashing this wave, he couldn't follow up with another attack. Chu Fengmian's body suddenly rushed in the direction of the ancient gate. Just as Chu Fengmian was about to activate the sky-devouring secret technique to dissolve the seal on the ancient gate, he suddenly approached the ancient gate. However, he felt that the seal on the ancient gate didn't attack Chu Fengmian. Instead, as Chu Fengmian approached the gate, a ray of light condensed above the ancient gate and surrounded Chu Fengmian. With the protection of such a ray of light, the seal on the ancient gate didn't attack Chu Fengmian at all. Chu Fengmian's body directly entered the ancient gate. What's going on? Could it be because of the mysterious whale bloodline? Is the mysterious whale hidden treasure left for the demon immortals who possess the mysterious whale bloodline? Although Chu Fengmian was surprised, it was a good thing that the seal on the ancient gate didn't require Chu Fengmian to use the sky-devouring secret technique to dissolve it. Without a technique like the sky-devouring secret technique, even immortal generals like the Ocean Monarch and the Demon Slayer Monarch would need some time to break the seal on the ancient gate. Now that Chu Fengmian had left the seal on the ancient gate, it could buy some time for Chu Fengmian. Let's go! Chu Fengmian didn't hesitate. His body flickered as he flew into the mysterious whale hidden treasure. Seeing Chu Fengmian enter the mysterious whale hidden treasure, the Origin Whale Emperor roared furiously. The entire chaotic spirit sea could feel his anger. On the other side, the Ocean Monarch and the Blood Moon Monarch were still in a stalemate with the Demon Slayer Monarch and Jianwang. They seemed to be arguing about devouring incessantly. However, as they were arguing, the Origin Whale Emperor's furious roar broke the silence. Everyone couldn't help but look in the direction of the Origin Whale Emperor. Everyone present was a celestial realm expert. Everything that happened under the eye of the sea could not be hidden from their eyes. They clearly saw a figure entering the ancient gate and entering the dark whale secret treasure that they had been dreaming of. While they were still arguing, someone had already taken the lead and entered the Xianjing secret treasure ahead of them. Loading up next chapters. Chapter 2017. Someone broke into the dark whale secret treasure? There's someone else hiding in the chaotic ocean? What's going on? The moment they heard Chu Fengmian's voice, all the celestial realm experts were in an uproar. They were now in a stalemate, arguing endlessly about the ownership of the dark whale secret treasure. But at this moment, someone had entered the dark whale secret treasure faster than them and took the lead. He was simply making a fool out of all of them. However, almost all of the sky-human realm experts present had scouted the chaotic ocean. In this chaotic ocean, there should be no other living beings other than them. They couldn't figure out when this person had appeared and entered the black whale hidden treasure. They were all celestial realm experts. Naturally, they wouldn't be mistaken. Don't waste time here. If we continue arguing, the dark whale secret treasure will be taken by someone else. The treasures in the dark whale secret treasure will belong to whoever takes the most. Bloody Moon Evil Master let out a long howl. After he finished speaking, he turned into a blood-red light and rushed toward the mysterious whale hidden treasure. Let's rely on our own abilities. Yan Tiangang also let out a long howl and followed closely behind, which was a tacit agreement with Bloody Moon Evil Master's words. If Chu Fengmian didn't appear suddenly, they could still continue arguing. But now that Chu Fengmian appeared, they would only let others take advantage of them if they continued arguing. Since Chu Fengmian was the first to enter the dark whale secret treasure, the second and third place were meaningless. The celestial realm experts present all rushed towards the direction of the black whale hidden treasure. It was a result they wanted to see. There were so many experts and it was so chaotic. Everyone wanted to take advantage of it. In the dark whale secret treasure, Chu Fengmian heard the roar of the Yuan Whale Emperor outside. Chu Fengmian clearly knew that as long as Chu Fengmian entered the black whale secret trove, the argument outside would stop. After all, no one wanted to see Chu Fengmian monopolize the black whale secret trove. I hope the seal on the ancient door and the Yuan Whale Emperor can hold on for a while. Chu Fengmian thought to himself. After entering the black whale secret treasure, Chu Fengmian did not hesitate to fly into the depths of the black whale secret treasure. The dark whale secret trove was the secret trove of an innate divine beast. The treasures it contained were definitely not ordinary. Although Chu Fengmian didn't have a big appetite to take the dark whale secret trove for himself, he still didn't want it. But now, Chu Fengmian had seized the opportunity and was the first to enter the black whale secret treasure. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He had to seize it properly. The most precious treasure of the black whale secret treasure was also in his hands. The black whale hidden treasure was a corridor that stretched as far as the eye could see. On both sides of the corridor, there were secret chambers. Within each secret chamber, there were altars. On top of these altars, there were numerous spiritual weapons, sage pills, and even immortal stones. Chu Fengmian could tell at a glance that both the spiritual weapons and the sage elixir pills were not ordinary items. These spiritual weapons were at least some half-immortal weapons. The sage elixir pills around them were also sage elixir pills of higher quality from the Middle Ages. They were all priceless treasures. These spiritual weapons and sage elixir pills were placed on top of the altars. They seemed to be sacrificial items. This black whale secret trove doesn't seem to be a treasure trove. Instead, it's a place of sacrifice. Chu Fengmian couldn't help but think when he saw the altars in the secret chamber. He had thought that this place, which was called the Black Whale Secret Trove by Demon Slayer Emperor, Ocean Emperor Worship, and the others, should be a treasure trove left behind by the Black Whale Secret Trove. But now, when he saw the altars, Chu Fengmian felt that this should be a place of sacrifice. These spiritual weapons and sage elixir pills were actually sacrificial items placed on top of the altars. But even if they were sacrificial items, the quality of these spiritual weapons and sage elixir pills was extremely high. Chu Fengmian didn't hold back. Since he was here, he was going to sweep the Black Whale Secret Trove clean. Chu Fengmian waved his hand and activated the sky-devouring secret skill. After collecting all the spiritual weapons and sage elixir pills on top of the altars, Chu Fengmian continued to fly deeper into the corridor. The secret chambers and altars were filled with treasures. Spiritual weapons, materials, sage elixir pills, spiritual stones, and so on. As long as Chu Fengmian came across them, he would collect all of them without exception, leaving nothing behind. This should be a place built by some top powers of the Yuan Whale clan to worship the Black Whale. There were altars placed in every secret chamber. This made Chu Fengmian believe that this should be a place of sacrifice and not a treasure trove. The Black Whale was probably the only place of sacrifice. After all, this place was called the Black Whale Secret Trove. The Black Whale was an innate divine beast. It was born and raised by the heavens. Naturally, it wouldn't take the initiative to offer sacrifices. There was nothing in the world that was qualified for the Black Whale to offer sacrifices. This place of worship should have been built by the descendants of the mysterious whale and the powerhouses of the origin whale race to offer sacrifices to the mysterious whale. Although it was a place of sacrifice, this corridor was not much different from a treasure trove. Large amounts of treasures were placed on top of the altars in every secret chamber. Chu Fengmian opened another secret chamber. At a glance, there were many blue-green stones piled up on top of the altar, forming a small pile of stones. Immortal stones. Chu Fengmian felt an incomparably pure immortal power when he entered the secret technique. He took a look and saw that the blue-green stones piled up on top of the altar were all immortal stones. There were hundreds of immortal stones piled up together. When Chu Fengmian entered the Black Whale Secret Trove, he mostly collected materials for spiritual weapons. He didn't see many real immortal stones, only a few occasionally. Now that he came across this altar, he saw that it was filled with immortal stones. Now, Chu Fengmian needed a large amount of immortal stones. He needed a large amount of immortal stones to activate the Life Great Seal, condense the immortal real body, and even increase his cultivation level in the future. Compared to materials for spiritual weapons, Chu Fengmian needed immortal stones the most. Chu Fengmian's original goal in entering the Black Whale Secret Trove was to collect a large amount of immortal stones. Now, he finally found it. Without any hesitation, Chu Fengmian grabbed all the immortal stones on the altar and stored them in his spatial ring. After a quick count, he found that there were more than 150 immortal stones on the altar. Set a small goal first, such as 1 second to remember, Book Guest House Mobile Edition. Chapter 2018. Immortal stones were the real hard currency. Even for Celestial Realm experts, or even Profound Heaven Realm experts, they were definitely hard currency. Anything could be bought with a large amount of immortal stones. Therefore, Chu Fengmian was even more excited when he saw these immortal stones than when he was collecting the altars. More than 150 immortal stones were all stored in Chu Fengmian's spatial ring. In addition to the immortal stones on the altars that Chu Fengmian had encountered before, he now had over 200 immortal stones. Even if Chu Fengmian left now, it would still be a great harvest. However, Chu Fengmian wouldn't leave now. This sacrificial altar was only one of the numerous secret rooms in the corridor. There were countless such secret rooms and altars. Chu Fengmian couldn't see the end of the corridor. He couldn't imagine how many altars there were. Just as Chu Fengmian collected the immortal stones, a loud boom resounded. At the same time, Chu Fengmian felt a wave of spiritual energy rushing towards him. The door of the Xianjing secret treasure had been broken. The Origin Whale Emperor was no longer breathing. Apparently, he had been killed by the joint forces of Ocean Worship Emperor, Demon Slayer Emperor, and the others. This time, they had a total of 15 Celestial Realm experts and 4 Immortal Generals. With such strength, they could easily sweep through a second-grade starfield like the Shanghai Starfield. The Origin Whale Emperor and the door of the Xianjing secret treasure couldn't withstand the joint attack and had been destroyed. Let's go! The things in these secret rooms are all ordinary. The real treasures should be in the depths of the corridor. Seeing Ocean Monarch, Demon Slayer Monarch and the others rush in, Chu Fengmian instantly turned into a beam of light and flew into the depths of the corridor. He didn't collect the immortal stones even when he passed by some secret rooms. Only when he came across altars full of immortal stones would Chu Fengmian stop and collect them. Chu Fengmian didn't stop either. He quickly flew towards the depths of the corridor. His beam of light was pushed to the extreme. Chu Fengmian even took out a dozen immortal stones and burned them. He used his immortal chi to drive the beam of light even faster. Burning immortal stones to activate streaks of light was simply an extremely extravagant act. However, in the Black Whale's secret treasure, every second counted. If Chu Fengmian could gain more time, he would be able to obtain more treasures. After collecting several immortal stones from the altars, Chu Fengmian had more than 1,000 immortal stones in his possession. It could be said that Chu Fengmian barely had this number of immortal stones at his peak. Even the entire wealth of a celestial realm expert might not necessarily have so many immortal stones. It could be said that this time, Chu Fengmian had truly become rich overnight. He had been hiding in the Origin Whale Emperor's internal world for so long and had seized the initiative. So many immortal stones were his reward for seizing the initiative. What happened? Why are the altars in this secret chamber empty? Where's the treasure? Behind Chu Fengmian, the celestial realm experts who had entered the Black Whale secret treasure couldn't wait to rush towards the secret chambers. However, what they saw were empty altars. There wasn't even a single strand of treasure on the altars. Damn it, all the treasures have been taken away. Damn it. That person has collected so many treasures. Looking at the empty altars, the East Forest Ocean Emperor and the Waterfront Sword Ocean Emperor were enraged. It was as if all the treasures in their hands had been snatched away by someone else. They were furious to the extreme. Let's go! To the front! There are more treasures ahead. The Black Whale secret treasure is so big. That kid can't have collected everything by himself. More celestial realm experts had already reacted. The corridor of the Black Whale secret treasure was endless. It wasn't something that could be collected by one person in a short period of time. Their streaks of light flew forward, and as expected, they saw some secret chambers that hadn't been taken away by anyone. On top of the altars, there was a dazzling array of treasures, causing them to be dazzled. Half-immortal artifacts, ancient sacred elixirs, and even ancient sacred elixirs. These kinds of treasures were hard to buy outside even if one paid a sky-high price. Piled up on the altar, many of them were supreme treasures for celestial being experts. Mine. This altar is mine. Get out of here, I saw it first. For a moment, many celestial realm experts had already begun to fight for the treasures on the altars. However, there were 4 figures who didn't join in. They were the 4 immortal generals of the overlooking Sea Emperor. They looked at the treasures on the altars and didn't fight for them. Instead, they turned into rays of light and flew towards the depths of the corridor. They could see that since Chu Fengmian had given up on the treasures in the secret chambers, he must be aiming for the Black Whale secret treasure, the treasure in the deepest part of the corridor. The treasure in the deepest part of the corridor was the real treasure of the Black Whale secret treasure. Although the half-immortal artifacts, sacred elixirs, and immortal stones were priceless to them, their target was the real treasure of the Black Whale secret treasure. Without any conversation, the 4 rays of light flew towards the depths of the corridor. I can't continue to collect treasures. Chu Fengmian collected another altar full of immortal stones. All of a sudden, his expression flickered as he saw the 4 figures behind him closing in on him. the 4 figures were all immortal generals. Any one of them was someone that Chu Fengmian couldn't contend with. Chu Fengmian wanted to go straight to the depths of the corridor to collect the real treasure of the Black Whale's secret treasure. However, it seemed that the 4 of them had the same idea as Chu Fengmian. They were all aiming for the real treasure in the depths of the corridor. The secret chambers couldn't hold them back at all. After Chu Fengmian left the secret chamber, he burned another 50 immortal stones to boost his speed to the maximum. After collecting a few more immortal stones from the altars, Chu Fengmian now had more than 2,000 immortal stones. He could be considered rich now and could use them for a while. Moreover, the consumption of these immortal stones was worth it for the real treasure of the Black Whale's secret treasure. Chu Fengmian collected a large amount of immortal stones because he wanted to use the life seal to fight against Overlooking Sea Emperor and the others. With these immortal stones, Chu Fengmian would have the capital to fight against Overlooking Sea Emperor, Demon Slayer Monarch, Blood Moon Monarch and the other immortal generals. Set a small goal first, such as 1 second to remember. Book Guest House Mobile Edition. Chapter 2019. Behind Chu Fengmian's escape light, the 4 figures gradually caught up. They saw that Chu Fengmian was the first person to enter the Dark Whale's secret treasure. As the distance gradually closed, Reverend Ocean Monarch suddenly looked at Chu Fengmian. He carefully sized him up and exclaimed in disbelief. "It's that kid?" Reverend Ocean Monarch was extremely shocked when he saw Chu Fengmian. In his opinion, Chu Fengmian should have died in the hands of the Yuan Whale Emperor, but he never expected that Chu Fengmian was still alive. Not only that, Chu Fengmian also managed to sneak into the Dark Whale's secret treasure without being detected by the spiritual consciousness of countless experts. If it wasn't for the Yuan Whale Emperor's roar that attracted their attention, they probably wouldn't have noticed that Chu Fengmian had sneaked into the Dark Whale's secret treasure. "What's going on? Reverend Ocean Monarch, do you know this person's identity?" Blood Moon Monarch, who was traveling with Reverend Ocean Monarch, couldn't help but ask when he saw Reverend Ocean Monarch's shocked expression. Blood Moon Monarch and the others were extremely shocked that Chu Fengmian was able to sneak into the Dark Whale's secret treasure without being detected by the spiritual consciousness of so many people. Especially now that they were close to Chu Fengmian, they could clearly sense that Chu Fengmian was only a half-step celestial being. A little guy who hadn't even reached the celestial realm was actually able to deceive so many celestial realm experts and even 4 immortal generals. It was simply unbelievable. "I don't know his real name, but he does have some means to hide his aura. Previously, he sneaked into the sacrificial lake of our seashore sect and plundered without restraint. I chased him into the chaotic ocean and he was devoured by the Yuan Whale Emperor. I didn't expect him to still be alive," Reverend Ocean Monarch said with a solemn expression. "This kid might only be a half-step celestial, but he's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve. He has the bloodlines of Patriarch Jianwang, Heaven-Devouring Beast, and Black Whale. He's even stronger than an ordinary immortal. 2 of our patriarchs died at his hands. We have to be careful when dealing with him. Even though he didn't let Chu Fengmian gain the upper hand last time, he still couldn't catch up to Chu Fengmian despite being an immortal general. This was a huge loss for him. Especially now, Chu Fengmian had used some unknown means to escape from the Yuan Whale Emperor. This made him extremely wary of Chu Fengmian. Oh? A half-step celestial being killing a celestial being? This kind of strength is nothing in our realm Devil Sky. He's just an ordinary genius," Blood Moon Monarch said disapprovingly when he heard Reverend Ocean Monarch's words. He was born in the Saint Realm Devil Sky and had seen far more geniuses than Reverend Ocean Monarch. A half-step celestial being killing a celestial being was not uncommon in the 3 Saint Realms. Blood Moon Monarch naturally didn't care about this. A puny half-step celestial being dares to come to the Black Whale hidden treasure. "You're courting death." Bloody Moon Evil Master sneered and suddenly made a move. From the palm of his hand, a blood-red devil intent boiled up and suddenly turned into a huge spear, which suddenly stabbed toward Chu Fengmian. The moment the spear was formed, the expressions of Reverend Ocean Monarch, Demon Slayer Monarch, and the others changed slightly. Now, the spear casually condensed by Bloody Moon Evil Master actually made them feel an incomparable fear. As immortal generals, they might not be able to resist the power of this spear. Although they were all immortal generals, the Blood Moon Monarch had inherited the bloodline of the 10 great demon royal families. His strength was naturally much stronger than them. Whoosh! The spear formed in Blood Moon Monarch's palm. It immediately pierced through the air and stabbed towards Chu Fengmian. Its speed was so fast that Chu Fengmian couldn't dodge it. However, Chu Fengmian's body suddenly moved just as the spear radiance was about to reach him. His escape light instantly burst out with extreme speed. In an instant, the speed of the escape light was several times faster than before. Chu Fengmian also noticed the Blood Moon Monarch's attack. He didn't want to fight the Blood Moon Monarch now, so he burned a total of 50 immortal stones and used their immortal energy to fuel the escape light. In terms of escape arts and space Dao, Chu Fengmian's escape arts were stronger than those of celestial realm experts. However, no matter how strong the escape light was, it wouldn't be able to display its true power if it was fueled by spiritual energy. But now, Chu Fengmian burned a total of 50 immortal stones and used them to fuel the escape light. In an instant, Chu Fengmian's escape light reached its maximum speed. Ancestor Jianwang was the fastest of the Khanate divine beasts. Even a martial artist demon immortal with Ancestor Jianwang's bloodline was much faster than a martial artist demon immortal of the same realm. Moreover, Chu Fengmian didn't just possess Ancestor Jianwang's bloodline, but also Ancestor Jianwang's Genesis Qi, Dragon Origin, and Space Dao. All of these were under his control. Chu Fengmian burned a large number of immortal stones and used his immortal energy to fuel the escape light. It was even faster than the escape lights of true immortal emperors like the Blood Moon Monarch and the Ocean Monarch. In a few breaths' time, the 4 figures that had approached Chu Fengmian were once again pulled far away. The Crimson Spear had just closed in on Chu Fengmian when it was left behind by the sudden acceleration of the escape light. This person's escape light is so fast. The expressions of the Ocean Monarch, Demon Slayer Emperor, and the others changed drastically. In their eyes, a half-step celestial realm cultivator was as insignificant as an ant. But now, Chu Fengmian's escape light was much faster than theirs. This shocked them greatly. Interesting. Murderous intent flashed through the Blood Moon Monarch's eyes. With his status, attacking Chu Fengmian was like bullying the weak. But now that Chu Fengmian had escaped, it infuriated him even more. You want to run? Few people can escape from me, Bloody Moon Evil Master, let alone a small nonentity. Blood-Law Sky Escape. The Blood Moon Monarch roared as boundless blood energy erupted from his body. It shrouded the Blood Moon Monarch's body and pushed his escape light to the extreme. In the blink of an eye, he overtook the other 3 and chased after Chu Fengmian. The Blood Moon Monarch is as crazy as the rumors say. Chapter 2020. Watching the Blood Moon Monarch chase after Chu Fengmian, Demon Slayer Emperor, Ocean Monarch, and the others couldn't help but sigh. The Blood Moon Monarch was incomparably crazy. Whoever provoked it would suffer endless revenge. No one who was targeted by it could live peacefully. Now that Chu Fengmian was targeted by the Blood Moon Monarch, none of them stopped it. Instead, they all wanted to sit back and enjoy the fruits of others' labor. Since the Blood Moon Monarch took the initiative to deal with Chu Fengmian, they could also sit back and enjoy the fruits of others' labor. They could also see that Chu Fengmian was special. Chu Fengmian was able to hide from their spiritual awareness and be the first to enter the mysterious whale secret treasure. Chu Fengmian must have his own uniqueness. He was definitely not an ordinary half-step celestial realm warrior. Now that the Blood Moon Monarch was going to deal with Chu Fengmian, they had one less problem and could search for the real treasure in the mysterious whale secret treasure with peace of mind. The Blood Moon Monarch is actually chasing after me? On the other side, Chu Fengmian looked at the red figure that was chasing after him from behind. His eyes revealed a somewhat troublesome expression. The Blood Moon Monarch actually had its eyes on Chu Fengmian. It seemed that it was going to chase after Chu Fengmian and kill him until there was nothing left of him. Chu Fengmian originally didn't want to provoke the Blood Moon Monarch and the others, but now the Blood Moon Monarch had its eyes on Chu Fengmian first. When Bloody Moon Evil Master activated the blood escaping technique, the speed of the escaping light was pushed to the extreme. Chu Fengmian could tell that the blood escaping technique was an extremely profound secret skill of the Dark Sect, which could increase the speed of the escaping light in a short time. In a few breaths' time, the Blood Moon Monarch transformed into a blood-red escape light and approached Chu Fengmian. Suddenly, a huge blood-red hand descended from the sky and enveloped him. The Blood Moon Monarch suddenly attacked. The terrifying strength of the Immortal General Realm was immediately displayed to the extreme. The palm descended from the sky. Instantly, Chu Fengmian felt that his body was about to be ruthlessly suppressed by the palm. Chu Fengmian had once fought Reverence Ocean Monarch, who was also an immortal general. Reverence Ocean Monarch was far stronger than Chu Fengmian, and Chu Fengmian couldn't fight back. The Blood Moon Monarch was even stronger than the Ocean Monarch. Even Chu Fengmian was nearly suppressed by him. Fortunately, Chu Fengmian had burned 50 celestial stones to activate the escape light. There was still some celestial energy left from the celestial stones. Chu Fengmian gathered his celestial energy and released it to escape from the suppression. The difference in strength between the Blood Moon Monarch and Chu Fengmian was too great. Even an ordinary immortal general was in existence that Chu Fengmian couldn't contend against. Moreover, the Blood Moon Monarch was an invincible figure in the Immortal General Realm. Chu Fengmian used his celestial energy to resist the suppression of the blood-red palm. The moment he escaped, he immediately moved his palm and an imprint appeared in his palm. Life imprint. In the face of the Blood Moon Monarch's attack, Chu Fengmian couldn't hold back. The power of the life imprint suddenly erupted. At the same time, Chu Fengmian opened his spatial ring and took out 200 celestial stones. He burned them and an incomparably pure spiritual energy poured into the life imprint, causing the power of the life imprint to rise steadily. In Chu Fengmian's palm, there was a portion of the Life Emperor's power that he had gathered in the Origin Whale Monarch's internal world. The Life Emperor's power was also injected into the life imprint by Chu Fengmian. Suddenly, countless ancient runes appeared on the life imprint. Ancient characters appeared on the life imprint, activating the power of the life imprint to the extreme. Chu Fengmian burned 200 celestial stones and injected all the Life Emperor's power into the life imprint. He activated the power of the life imprint to the extreme and bombarded the blood-red palm that was descending from the sky. Boom! The collision of power wasn't inferior to the collision of true celestial realm experts. The common people's great seal violently slammed against the giant blood-red hand. The boundless power directly blocked the descending giant blood-red hand. Under the bombardment of the common people's great seal, the giant blood-red hand even showed signs of shattering. This is the life imprint? The immortal weapon of the Life Emperor. It is said that only those who understand the Life Emperor art can activate the life imprint. You actually know the long-lost Life Emperor art? Blood Moon Monarch also saw this scene. With his knowledge, he recognized the origin of the life imprint at a glance. He also knew many things about the life imprint. The Life Emperor was one of the overlords of the ancient era. The life imprint wasn't the only immortal weapon he left behind. The common people's seal was only a seal platform and not the true immortal item of the common people's emperor. The immortal weapons left behind by the Life Emperor were all of high quality. However, because the Life Emperor art wasn't passed down, even if someone obtained the immortal weapon of the Life Emperor, they wouldn't be able to unleash its true power. But now, the long-lost Life Emperor art had appeared in Chu Fengmian's possession. With Blood Moon Monarch's knowledge, he naturally understood the significance of this. If he could obtain the Life Emperor art, he would be able to search for the immortal weapons left behind by the Life Emperor. Many of the Life Emperor's immortal weapons were silent because they didn't have the Life Emperor art. If he could obtain the Life Emperor art, he would be able to unleash the power of these immortal weapons. So what if you can activate the life imprint? Your cultivation is too low. In your hands, you can't even unleash 1/10 of the life imprint's power. You're overestimating yourself if you want to fight against me. Blood Moon Monarch sneered. Suddenly, a surge of demonic will erupted from his palm and entered the blood-red hand. With the injection of the demonic will, the power of the blood-red hand suddenly increased by 10 times. When it collided with the common people's great seal, the blood-red hand had almost been shattered. But this time, the power of the blood-red hand had increased by 10 times. Even the life imprint couldn't withstand it. Chu Fengmian gathered the Life Emperor's power and burned 200 immortal stones to activate the life imprint. The most powerful attack he could unleash was still no match for the Blood Moon Monarch. I can't fight the Blood Moon Monarch head-on. Chu Fengmian also understood this point. Suddenly, the moment the blood-red hand descended, Chu Fengmian's body flickered and tore the space apart, disappearing from where he stood. Genius memorized this address in 1 second. Mobile reading website, M. Chapter 2021. When Chu Fengmian was fighting against the Blood Moon Monarch, he was already prepared for the second step. When he realized that the power of the life seal was not enough to fight against the Blood Moon Monarch, Chu Fengmian tore the space apart and disappeared immediately. However, Chu Fengmian was still in the Black Whale Secret Treasure. The Black Whale Secret Treasure was a unique space. Chu Fengmian tore the space apart and was still in the Black Whale Secret Treasure. Moreover, he was in the depths of the Black Whale Secret Treasure. This is the depths of the Black Whale Secret Treasure? Chu Fengmian felt that he had arrived in the depths of the Black Whale Secret Treasure after tearing the space apart. Chu Fengmian was both surprised and delighted. Even Chu Fengmian himself didn't know where he would appear after tearing the space apart. This time, he was extremely lucky to be able to arrive in the depths of the Black Whale Secret Treasure. However, Chu Fengmian could vaguely feel that there was something in the depths of the Black Whale Secret Treasure that was calling out to Chu Fengmian. That was why Chu Fengmian tore the space apart and arrived in the depths of the Black Whale Secret Treasure. What is hidden in the Black Whale Secret Treasure? Chu Fengmian felt the calling and walked deeper into the Black Whale Secret Treasure. Suddenly, an ancient door appeared in front of Chu Fengmian. The ancient door gave Chu Fengmian a similar feeling to the door of the Black Whale Secret Treasure outside. The restriction on the door seemed to have been set up by the same expert. Chu Fengmian approached the door. The restriction on the door did not affect Chu Fengmian at all. At the same time, a huge shadow of the Black Whale suddenly appeared behind Chu Fengmian. The Black Whale bloodline in Chu Fengmian's body was completely stimulated by a force after arriving in the depths of the Black Whale Secret Treasure. It was the Black Whale bloodline that allowed the restriction on the door to have no effect on Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian stepped through the door and arrived in a unique space. It was a white world. Everywhere was dazzling white. However, when Chu Fengmian stepped into the white world, his eyes were glued to the center of the white world. He couldn't take his eyes off it. In the center of this white world, there was actually a huge white horn. At a glance, this huge horn was at least 3,000 feet long. In this entire white world, there was only such a huge white horn. The white of this space seemed to be rendered white by this single horn. Could this be the legendary horn of the mysterious whale? Chu Fengmian couldn't take his eyes off the huge horn the moment he saw it. Chu Fengmian suddenly thought of an ancient rumor. It was said that the black whale was huge, as long as 10,000 feet. It had a single horn on its head and 2 fins as wings. The horn of the black whale was the symbol of the black whale. It was also its most powerful weapon. The only thing Chu Fengmian could think of when he saw this huge horn was the horn of the mysterious whale. Chu Fengmian had never dreamed that the horn of the mysterious whale would be hidden in the deepest part of the mysterious whale hidden treasure. The horn of the mysterious whale was much more precious than any extreme immortal weapon. It was a priceless treasure. It was comparable to the heart of the heaven-devouring beast. If anyone could use this horn to forge an immortal weapon, it would definitely become one of the most powerful immortal weapons of extreme path. However, if Chu Fengmian obtained the horn, he wouldn't use it to refine an immortal weapon. The most precious thing about the horn of the profound whale was that the horn itself contained primordial qi. Chu Fengmian had fused with one of the dragon claws of primogenitor Jianwang and the heart of the heaven-devouring beast, which allowed him to control the dragon origin and heaven-devouring origin. If Chu Fengmian also fused the horn into his body, he would be able to control the third origin in the world, the origin of the Sea Clan. Controlling one origin power would allow one to become a variant of heaven and earth and go against the heavens. Chu Fengmian had never heard of anyone who could control two origin powers, not even in the ancient books. However, Chu Fengmian controlled the dragon origin and heaven-devouring origin, so he naturally understood the endless benefits of these two origin powers. Chu Fengmian had been able to turn danger into safety time and time again, even escaping from immortal generals, because of these two origin powers. If Chu Fengmian could assimilate the third great wish today, the benefits to Chu Fengmian would be endless. Chu Fengmian looked at the profound whale's horn. Without hesitation, he suddenly reached out and grabbed at the 3,000 feet long profound whale's horn. The horn was actually summoning Chu Fengmian. It was Chu Fengmian's opportunity and fortuitous encounter. It was simply intolerable for Chu Fengmian to let go of the mysterious whale's horn. When Chu Fengmian reached out to grab the mysterious whale's horn, it seemed to retain some consciousness and respond to Chu Fengmian's call. The horn shrank little by little and was about to fall into Chu Fengmian's palm. Crack! However, just as Chu Fengmian was about to collect the mysterious whale's horn, the space around Chu Fengmian suddenly shattered. The space around Chu Fengmian was actually torn apart by someone. A blood-colored figure emerged from the space. It was the Blood Moon Monarch. The Blood Moon Monarch had actually discovered Chu Fengmian's location and tore apart the space to chase after him. The space was torn apart. This Bloody Moon Evil Master was going to directly cross the space and catch up with them. Damn it! Chu Fengmian was just about to collect the mysterious whale's horn when the Blood Moon Monarch actually chased after him. If the Blood Moon Monarch crossed the space and came after him, Chu Fengmian would have no chance of collecting the mysterious whale's horn. What is this thing? Bloody Moon Evil Master tore open the space and saw the 3,000-foot-long white horn in the center of the white space at first glance. The Blood Moon Monarch was born in the sacred domain demonic sky and was very knowledgeable. He was not surprised even when he saw that Chu Fengmian knew the Life Emperor technique. However, he was stunned when he saw the mysterious whale's horn. He did not react for a long time, as if he had seen something incredible. The mysterious whale's horn. It's actually the mysterious whale's horn. Such a divine object is actually in the mysterious whale hidden treasure. The Blood Moon Monarch ignored Chu Fengmian, as his attention was completely attracted by the mysterious whale's horn. Set a small goal first, such as 1 second to remember, Book Guest House Mobile Edition. Chapter 2022. The Blood Moon Monarch stared at the horn of the profound whale for a long time before he came to his senses and burst into laughter. Good, good. Such a divine item actually exists. This horn of the black whale is a supreme treasure that surpasses the extreme Dao immortal weapon. If I can obtain it, I'll be able to sweep across the entire realm Devil Heaven. Who would be my match then? The Blood Moon Monarch laughed continuously. Although he had come for the profound whale's secret treasure, he did not expect that the horn of the profound whale would be hidden in the treasure. The horn of the profound whale was much more precious than an extreme immortal weapon. It surpassed all strange objects, all immortal weapons, and even extreme immortal weapons. It was an out-and-out divine object. Not many people had managed to acquire such a fortunate encounter since the ancient times. How could the Blood Moon Monarch not go crazy over it? Bloody Moon Evil Master had a noble bloodline, which belonged to one of the 10 royal families of the Devil tribe. He was an out-and-out genius. If Bloody Moon Evil Master obtained the horn of the mysterious whale, he would have the power to sweep away everything. Reaching the sky in a single bound was nothing more than this. Moreover, the horn of the profound whale was only a step away from him. Once he crossed the space, the horn of the profound whale would be right in front of him. The Blood Moon Monarch let out a long roar. Boundless demonic intent was emitted from the space that he had broken. The Blood Moon Monarch exerted all his strength to tear the space apart and descend into the white world with his true body to seize the horn of the profound whale. Human Emperor Divine Light. Dual Sword Strike. Suddenly, a dazzling light burst out from Chu Fengmian's body. This light came from the Human Emperor jar in front of his chest. Chu Fengmian knew that he could not allow the Blood Moon Monarch to cross the space and arrive here. Once the Blood Moon Monarch arrived, he would have no hope of competing with the Blood Moon Monarch for the horn of the profound whale. His only chance was to stop the Blood Moon Monarch before the Blood Moon Monarch's true body crossed the space. Chu Fengmian released all the power of the Human Emperor jar and integrated it into his two spiritual swords. As Chu Fengmian's strength increased, he also became more proficient in manipulating the Emperor's jar. Now, Chu Fengmian no longer needed to transform the Emperor's jar into the Human Emperor's halberd to unleash its power. The White World. This was the sword light that Chu Fengmian had unleashed with his boundless killing power. Suddenly, the two swords struck out at the same time, and two sword lights slashed towards Bloody Moon Evil Master. The power of primogenitor Jianwang was the nemesis of the demon clan. The power of the first 6 moves of the primogenitor had been integrated into the two swords. In order to deal with the Blood Moon Monarch, Chu Fengmian had used all his trump cards. He had erupted with all his strength to stop the Blood Moon Monarch. The 9 moves of the primogenitor. The Blood Moon Monarch raised its head and saw the two swords coming down from Chu Fengmian. It could clearly feel the mystery of the 9 moves of the primogenitor contained in them. Although the 9 moves of the primogenitor were a set of claw techniques, they were basically the condensation of the power of primogenitor Jianwang. Therefore, regardless of whether it was a sword technique, a saber technique, or a fist technique, as long as one could comprehend the essence of the 9 moves of the primogenitor, the power of the technique would be the real power of the 9 moves of the primogenitor. The power of primogenitor Jianwang was the power of pure yang. It was the nemesis of the demon clan. However, the Blood Moon Monarch was no ordinary demon. The moment it saw Chu Fengmian's two swords, it also made its move. The Blood Moon Monarch's body suddenly swelled and turned into a blood-red crescent moon. The blood-red crescent moon emitted boundless power. The blood-red edge trembled slightly, as if it could sever the world. Its power surpassed that of an immortal weapon. The Blood Moon Monarch turned into a blood moon in an instant. The bloodline of the Blood Moon Heavenly Demon. The Blood Moon Monarch has inherited such a pure bloodline that it can transform into a blood moon. The moment Chu Fengmian saw the Blood Moon Monarch turn into a blood moon, he knew that it was the power of the Blood Moon Monarch's bloodline. The Blood Moon Heavenly Demon was one of the 10 heavenly demons. It was said that the most powerful move of the Blood Moon Heavenly Demon was to transform into a blood moon. In the past, the Blood Moon Heavenly Demon could easily destroy countless worlds with a single move. The move of transforming into a blood moon required an extremely pure bloodline of the Blood Moon Heavenly Demon to be able to perform. The fact that the Blood Moon Monarch could perform this move meant that the power of its bloodline was pure. After transforming into a blood moon, the strength of the Blood Moon Monarch increased by dozens of times. A dazzling blood-red light was emitted from the blood moon. This blood-red light was the edge of the blood moon. It was sharp enough to tear apart everything in the world. Crack! Chu Fengmian's two swords, which contained the power of the 9 moves of the primogenitor, collided with the blood-red light and shattered into pieces. The Blood Moon Monarch, who had transformed into a blood moon, was simply invincible and could kill anyone who stood in its way. The sharpness of the blood moon was much more powerful than immortal weapons. The 2 spiritual swords in Chu Fengmian's hands, which were already transforming into extreme great immortal weapons, were trembling violently under the sharpness of the blood moon. The Blood Moon Monarch's strength was already extremely terrifying. Now that it had transformed into a blood moon, it could be said to be invincible. Chu Fengmian could not withstand it at all. The blood moon crossed the space and was about to descend into the white world. But at this moment, suddenly, a ray of light descended from the sky. This ray of light was pure white, exactly the same color as the horn of the black whale. The moment this ray of light descended, the dazzling blood-red color of the blood moon monarch's moon seemed to be completely suppressed. Rumble. At the moment when the two forces collided, the blood moon monarch let out a cold snort. The blood moon he had transformed into suddenly shattered and returned to its original form. Under the power of the ray of light, he was severely injured. The horn of the black whale? It's actually the horn of the black whale? Chu Fengmian instantly realized who this person was and what kind of existence had attacked. This ray of light was the power emitted from the horn of the black whale. The ray of light descended. With one move, it broke the blood moon that the blood moon monarch had transformed into and even injured the blood moon monarch. The power of the black whale? The blood moon monarch, who had broken the blood moon and returned to its original form, had an incredulous look on its face. Set a small goal first, such as 1 second to remember. Book Guest House mobile version. Chapter 2023. Not only the blood moon monarch, but even Chu Fengmian did not expect this to happen. The blood moon monarch had transformed into a blood moon and was unstoppable. Even Chu Fengmian could not stop the arrival of the blood moon monarch. Who would have thought that the horn of the black whale, which had been hidden in the black whale's secret treasure for so long, would suddenly show its power at this critical moment? The power of this beam of light broke the blood moon and forced Bloody Moon Evil Master's body out. Moreover, Bloody Moon Evil Master was seriously injured. Bloody Moon Evil Master stared at the horn of the mysterious whale, which was 30,000 feet long. The incredulity in his eyes gradually turned into greed. He stared at the horn of the mysterious whale, wishing he could get his hands on it right now. The era of the mysterious whale was the ancient desolation era. The mysterious whale had already fallen in ancient times. However, after tens of millions of years, the horn of the black whale still contained such terrifying power. That beam of divine light shattered the blood moon with one strike. It should be noted that Bloody Moon Evil Master, who had transformed into a blood moon, was not much weaker than an expert in the profound heaven realm or the celestial marquee realm. However, it was still seriously injured by the divine light. If the blood moon monarch had been another immortal general expert, be it demon slayer emperor or ocean worship emperor, they would not have been able to withstand a single blow from the divine light. They would have definitely died under the bombardment of the divine light. Now that the horn of the black whale had experienced tens of millions of years, the power it contained was probably less than 1/10 of its original power. Yet, it already possessed such tyrannical power. If anyone could truly obtain and control the horn of the black whale, the benefits they would gain would be unimaginable. The stronger the power of the horn of the mysterious whale, the more the blood moon monarch wanted to obtain the horn of the mysterious whale. Heavenly demon domination. Become a demon for all eternity. The blood moon monarch let out a long howl, and boundless demonic intent erupted. In that instant, the blood moon monarch directly used a secret technique of the demon race, and once again turned into a blood moon. The blood moon, which had been destroyed by the divine light that erupted from the horn of the mysterious whale, was condensed once again. The blood-red light on the blood moon was far stronger than before. The power it contained was so strong that it tore the space apart even more. The blood moon monarch was still unwilling to give up. It still wanted to descend with its true body to seize the profound whale's horn. Sky-devouring secret technique. Devour the heavens. But this time, Chu Fengmian was well prepared. The power of the sky-devouring secret skill condensed in his palm. The moment the blood moon transformed by Bloody Moon Evil Master tore through the space and descended, the power of the sky-devouring secret technique erupted from Chu Fengmian's palm. Chu Fengmian had been fighting with the blood moon monarch for a long time, so he knew that he was far from being able to confront the blood moon monarch head-on. However, Chu Fengmian had other ways to deal with the blood moon monarch. He used the sky-devouring secret technique to devour the power of the blood moon monarch. The sky-devouring beast was an innate divine beast. In the desolate antiquity era, innate divine beasts were even stronger than the heavenly demons. Now that Chu Fengmian had mastered the sky-devouring origin, he could devour the world. Even though the Blood Moon Monarch possessed the bloodline of the Blood Moon Heavenly Demon, it could not completely resist Chu Fengmian's sky-devouring secret technique. It was impossible for Chu Fengmian to use the sky-devouring secret technique to kill the Blood Moon Monarch, but he could use it to weaken the power of the Blood Moon Monarch. However, Chu Fengmian was not the one who could truly resist the Blood Moon Monarch. The moment the Blood Moon descended, the surrounding space immediately turned into a black hole. The Blood Moon was devoured by the black hole, and the blood-colored light was also devoured by the black hole. The sky-devouring secret technique devoured 1/10 of the Blood Moon Monarch's power in an instant. If the Blood Moon Monarch did not leave the sky-devouring secret technique, its power would be devoured by the sky-devouring secret technique at every moment. The power of sky-devouring. How troublesome! A tiny little ant actually dared to keep opposing this sovereign. You're courting death. Trapped in the sky-devouring secret technique, the Blood Moon Monarch felt that it was a little tricky. It had originally wanted to seize the horn of the mysterious whale, so it had no intention of dealing with Chu Fengmian. For Bloody Moon Evil Master, Chu Fengmian was a nonentity that he could crush at any time, and he didn't care about him at all. But now, this nonentity actually brought him such a big trouble, which made him extremely angry. His voice contained killing intent, and he couldn't wait to skin Chu Fengmian alive. However, Chu Fengmian did not care at all. He had been trying his best to activate the sky-devouring secret technique to devour the power of the Blood Moon Monarch. At that instant, a loud explosion suddenly took place in the sky of the White World. Following the explosion, another ray of divine light descended. The horn of the mysterious whale had made its move again. Chu Fengmian had just discovered that the horn of the mysterious whale was hostile to the Blood Moon Monarch. This time, he had activated the sky-devouring secret technique to weaken the power of the Blood Moon Monarch. The horn of the mysterious whale was the one that he wanted to kill in one blow. Chu Fengmian could feel the pure white light and the power that descended from the sky. The power contained within it was enough to shock an immoral general to death. If Chu Fengmian had been the target of the pure white ray of light, he would not have been able to resist it and would have been killed on the spot. Fortunately, Chu Fengmian had already noticed that the horn of the mysterious whale was not hostile to him. Instead, it was helping him deal with the Blood Moon Monarch. Now, Chu Fengmian was relieved to use the power of the horn of the mysterious whale to deal with the Blood Moon Monarch. Boom! The pure white ray of light descended and swept away everything. The blood moon that the Blood Moon Monarch had condensed again exploded in the sky. The Blood Moon Monarch, which had returned to its original body, was sent flying. It spat out a mouthful of essence blood and was seriously injured. Last time when the Blood Moon was destroyed, Bloody Moon Evil Master was injured to a certain extent. This time, when the Blood Moon was destroyed again, Bloody Moon Evil Master was seriously injured. It would take a few years for it to fully recover from this injury. The Blood Moon Monarch, who had dominated the Devil Realm for decades, had never suffered such a great loss. This time, he had come to the Tsunhai Star Zone and was defeated by Chu Fengmian. This made him extremely angry. Damn it! Damn it! Boy, you are no match for me. You are just relying on the power of the horn of the mysterious whale. If you dare to leave the mysterious whale's secret treasure, I will kill you. The Blood Moon Monarch stared at Chu Fengmian and roared crazily. Set a small goal first, such as 1 second to remember. Book Guest House Mobile Edition. Chapter 2024. The Blood Moon Monarch's hatred for Chu Fengmian was so great that even the world could not withstand the outpouring of the Blood Moon Monarch's anger. Ever since the Blood Moon Monarch became famous, he had never suffered such a great loss. Even the geniuses of the sanctuary had never caused the Blood Moon Monarch to suffer such a great loss. Yet today, he had been defeated by Chu Fengmian. He had been defeated by an ant in his eyes. This was a kind of boundless shame. Bloody Moon Evil Master wished he could eat Chu Fengmian's flesh and kill all the people around Chu Fengmian right now. Only then could he resolve the hatred in his heart. But now, even though the Blood Moon Monarch was furious, he knew that there was no way he could kill Chu Fengmian in this white world. This was because the horn of the mysterious whale was protecting Chu Fengmian. Although the horn of the mysterious whale was an inanimate object, it was ultimately the condensation of the mysterious whale's lifetime power. Even after tens of millions of years, the power of the horn of the mysterious whale was less than 1/10,000th of its original power. But now, the horn of the mysterious whale had destroyed the Blood Moon Monarch's strongest move, the Blood Moon transformation. This time, the Blood Moon Monarch was destroyed again, and the Blood Moon Monarch was seriously injured. He knew that even if he attacked now, he would not be able to do anything to Chu Fengmian, who was protected by the horn of the mysterious whale. He might even be in danger. If the horn of the mysterious whale attacked again, he might not be able to withstand it. The Blood Moon Monarch had used all his trump cards to deal with the horn of the mysterious whale this time. He had no other means to deal with the horn of the mysterious whale. Although the Blood Moon Monarch was furious, he could only suffer this loss today. While roaring angrily, the Blood Moon Monarch immediately turned into a blood-red escape light and flew directly in the direction of the spatial rift. Trying to escape? Since you're here, don't run away. Chu Fengmian shouted coldly. His eyes were fixed on Bloody Moon Evil Master. When Bloody Moon Evil Master turned into a blood-red light and was about to escape, Chu Fengmian suddenly made a move. The life seal in Chu Fengmian's palm suddenly pressed down. There were also burning immortal stones around the life seal. Another 200 immortal stones were burned by Chu Fengmian to activate the power of the life seal. The Blood Moon Monarch's hatred for Chu Fengmian was monstrous. Chu Fengmian had also long listed the Blood Moon Monarch in his list of powerful enemies. He was someone Chu Fengmian must kill. The Blood Moon Monarch chased after Chu Fengmian as soon as he made his move. If it weren't for the horn of the mysterious whale, Chu Fengmian would have been killed by the Blood Moon Monarch. Now that the Blood Moon Monarch was injured by the horn of the mysterious whale and was still in the white world, it was the best opportunity for Chu Fengmian to deal with the Blood Moon Monarch. Of course, Chu Fengmian would not let the Blood Moon Monarch go so easily. He burned another 200 immortal stones and activated the power of the life seal to the extreme with his immortal power. Suddenly, he activated the life seal and pressed it down. The life seal pressed down, but its target was not Bloody Moon Evil Master, but the surrounding space, the white world. The most powerful aspect of the life seal was not its ability to suppress others, but its ability to seal the space and create a world of its own. Chu Fengmian activated the life seal not to suppress the Blood Moon Monarch, but to trap the Blood Moon Monarch in the white world and use the power of the horn of the mysterious whale to kill the Blood Moon Monarch. Killing an immortal general was an extremely crazy thing to do. Especially this Bloody Moon Evil Master, who was an overlord of the immortal general realm. Even Ocean Monarch Worship and Demon Slayer Monarch, who were also immortal generals, did not dare to kill the Blood Moon Monarch. But today, Chu Fengmian was going to do such a crazy thing. His eyes were filled with boundless killing intent. Even if he did not kill the Blood Moon Monarch today, he had to peel off a layer of skin from the Blood Moon Monarch. Rumble! The power of the common people's seal burst out and sealed the surrounding space. It sealed the entire white world and turned it into a world of its own. The Blood Moon Monarch wanted to escape, but Chu Fengmian did not let him escape. The Blood Moon Monarch must pay the price for chasing Chu Fengmian all the way here. Bang! The spatial crack that the Bloody Moon Evil Master had torn open was now completely sealed by the power of the life seal. In an instant, the Bloody Moon Evil Master had nowhere to retreat. The Blood Moon Monarch's face was filled with extreme anger. He was stamping with rage. Never in his wildest dreams did he imagine that Chu Fengmian, who was nothing more than an ant in his eyes, would be able to bring him such great trouble today. He had even put him in an incomparably dangerous situation. The power of the horn of the profound whale had been fully accumulated. Suddenly, another rumble resounded in the sky. Another white ray of light descended from the sky, aiming straight for the Blood Moon Monarch. Although the Blood Moon Monarch was 100 times, or even 1,000 times stronger than Chu Fengmian, he simply did not have the slightest opportunity to deal with Chu Fengmian. If the Blood Moon Monarch was unable to withstand the white ray of light, he would most likely die on the spot. At this moment, the anger on the Blood Moon Monarch's face was swept away. He suddenly became incomparably calm. In this incomparably dangerous moment, he had already cast aside all his anger. In an instant, a long blade appeared in his hand. The Blood Moon Monarch held the long blade in his hand and suddenly slashed down. The space sealed by the life seal was actually split open by the edge of the blade. The immortal weapon in the Blood Moon Monarch's hand actually possessed the power to break through space. The power of the blade was enough to tear apart space. Although the grade of the life seal was far superior to the immortal weapon in the Blood Moon Monarch's hand, Chu Fengmian's realm was still too low. Even if he burned immortal stones, he could only barely activate the life seal. As a result, the space sealed by the life seal was actually unable to withstand a single blow from the Blood Moon Monarch. It was immediately torn apart. The Blood Moon Monarch is going to escape. Chu Fengmian's expression was unsightly. He had meticulously planned this. From the moment he deliberately placed the Blood Moon Monarch into the white world, he had already planned to kill the Blood Moon Monarch. However, no matter how much he had planned, he was still going to fail at the last moment. If the Blood Moon Monarch were to escape now, the Blood Moon Monarch would be able to recover 80% of its strength in a few months. When that time came, it would be a disaster for Chu Fengmian. Immortal stones. Burn! Chu Fengmian had a resolute look in his eyes. No matter what, he couldn't let the Bloody Moon Evil Master escape so easily today. Suddenly, thousands of immortal stones started burning in Chu Fengmian's palm. First, he set a small target. For example, 1 second. Remember, Book Dweller. Chapter 2025. In order to kill the Blood Moon Monarch, Chu Fengmian had gone all out. He had burned almost all the immortal stones he had obtained from the Dark Whale hidden treasure. Thousands of immortal stones were burned at the same time, which was an astronomical figure. If 1,000 immortal stones were given to a half-step celestial being realm martial artist or demon god, it was enough to help him cross the celestial being tribulation and step into the celestial being realm. Now, the 1,000 immortal stones were burned in Chu Fengmian's palm. The immortal energy produced was so strong that no one would dare to burn so many immortal stones at once. The 1,000 immortal stones were burned in an instant, turning into extremely pure immortal energy and pouring into the Life Great Seal. The Life Great Seal trembled the moment it devoured so much immortal energy. The Life Great Seal was considered a high-grade immortal tool among the countless immortal tools. The immortal energy of 1,000 immortal stones was something the common people's Great Seal could withstand. However, just because the Great Life Seal could withstand it, it did not mean that Chu Fengmian could withstand it. After the Great Life Seal was injected with so much celestial energy, it immediately went berserk. Hidden ancient runes began to condense one after another. The Life Great Emperor was a peerless immortal emperor who was born in the ancient era. His strength was much stronger than many immortal emperors of the later generations. The Life Great Seal had followed the Life Great Seal and evolved time after time. Its true power was certainly not weak. However, Chu Fengmian's strength was too weak. He could only control so much power. Therefore, he only dared to burn 200 immortal stones each time he activated the Life Great Seal. If he burned more immortal stones, the power of the Life Great Seal would rise steadily, and Chu Fengmian would find it difficult to control it. If Chu Fengmian was unable to control the Life Grand Seal, the best-case scenario would be that the Life Grand Seal would abandon Chu Fengmian and no longer recognize Chu Fengmian as its master. In the worst-case scenario, the Life Grand Seal's power would backfire and Chu Fengmian might even die. This move was extremely dangerous. It could be said that Chu Fengmian was playing with fire. However, in order to deal with the Blood Moon Monarch, Chu Fengmian couldn't care less. He ignited the immortal energy of 1,000 immortal stones, and ancient characters began to appear on the Life Seal. The moment these ancient characters appeared, they actually looked like human figures. Chu Fengmian had cultivated the Mortal Emperor technique and had some understanding of the Mortal Emperor. These words represented the countless experts under the mortal emperor. The common people emperor, as a great emperor, had many experts under his command. In order to command the experts under his command, all the experts under the common people emperor's command left a word on the common people seal. This word represented the name of an expert and also represented his strength. There were 3,000 experts who had left their names on the common people's great seal. In other words, there were 3,000 characters on it. The moment these 3,000 characters appeared at the same time, it represented the true power of the common people's great seal. Previously, when Chu Fengmian activated the common people's great seal, he didn't even activate the true power of the seal. He only activated the power of the outer shell. As for the true power of the common people's great seal, these 3,000 characters couldn't awaken a single one. This time, as Chu Fengmian burned 1,000 immortal stones in one breath, the power of the common people's great seal and the 3,000 characters were finally awakened. However, this was only a part of it. At a glance, Chu Fengmian only saw a few dozen characters awakened. As for the rest, they were still in deep slumber. 1,000 immortal stones was indeed an astronomical figure for a half-step celestial being or even a celestial being. However, in front of the common people's great seal, it was nothing. The common people's great seal could withstand the power of the immortal emperor. Even a strand of the immortal emperor's power was much more than 1,000 or 10,000 immortal stones. These 1,000 immortal stones could only awaken a small part of the common people's great seal's power. However, the appearance of these dozens of characters also made the power of the common people's great seal completely different from before. In an instant, its power increased by a dozen times. These dozens of characters even flew out of the common people's great seal and fell into the world that was enveloped by the common people's great seal. Boom! An endless amount of world force descended upon them. Just a moment ago, the cracks in the space created by the Blood Moon Monarch's immortal weapon saber were all repaired by the endless power of the world. This world was a whole of its own and was a dozen times more resilient than before. Bang! The Blood Moon Monarch had just torn open the space in an attempt to escape. However, he didn't expect that the crack would be repaired in an instant. In fact, the repaired space was many times more resilient than before. He used the immortal weapon saber several times in a row, but he couldn't break open the space again. What's going on? What happened to this space? How could it erupt with such a powerful force? The Blood Moon Monarch panicked when he saw that the space couldn't be broken. He was extremely arrogant. Even when he was facing an immortal general or the profound heaven realm immortal Marquis Yuan Whale Emperor, he didn't feel the slightest bit of pressure. However, the world around him was sealed by the common people's great seal. He couldn't break open the space no matter what he did. The Blood Moon Monarch's eyes finally revealed a look of extreme fear. The peerless genius of the realm demon heaven who possessed the bloodline of the Blood Moon Monarch, who had reached the peak of the celestial realm and the immortal general realm, finally revealed a look of fear at this moment. The seal was just the beginning. Chu Fengmian wasn't the only one who wanted to deal with the Blood Moon Monarch. Boom! In the sky, the horn of the mysterious whale had once again finished accumulating power. Suddenly, a white divine light descended. This divine light descended, and its target was Bloody Moon Evil Master. Now that the Blood Moon Monarch was trapped in the space of the common people's great seal, there was no way for him to escape. Sky Demon Disintegration. Life Immortality. At this extremely dangerous moment, Bloody Moon Evil Master suddenly let out a long howl. His body suddenly exploded. Countless blood-red rays of light collided with the white divine light. Self-destruct. In this hopeless situation, the Blood Moon Monarch actually chose to self-destruct. His body immediately exploded, and an endless amount of energy swept across everything in the surroundings. First, set a small target. For example, 1 second. Remember, the book dweller. Chapter 2026. It was Chu Fengmian's first time witnessing the power of a peak celestial being or an immortal general's self-destruction. Thunderous booms reverberated throughout the world and shook the entire world created by the life seal. Explosions and collisions occurred again and again, as if they were about to tear the world apart. The space sealed by the life mark was extremely resilient. After Chu Fengmian burned 1,000 immortal stones, the space sealed by the life mark was even more resilient than the internal world of the Origin Whale Emperor, which Chu Fengmian had entered previously. However, under the explosion, the life seal trembled continuously. Every single character on the seal showed signs of shattering, as if they were unable to withstand such a powerful force. Chu Fengmian stood to the side. In front of him, the power of space condensed and turned into a defensive barrier. Within the world of the Life Grand Seal, Chu Fengmian controlled the seal and was the only ruler within it. However, even though he was hiding behind the layers of defense, Chu Fengmian still felt a lingering fear. His nerves were stretched taut when he sensed the aftermath of the explosion. The Blood Moon Monarch's self-destruction contained countless rays of blood moon light. 99% of the power was colliding with the white divine radiance that erupted from the horn of the mysterious whale. Even so, the little bit of power that was emitted terrified Chu Fengmian. The power of an immortal general's self-destruction was simply unimaginable to Chu Fengmian. It was hard to describe what was happening in front of him. However, Chu Fengmian understood one thing. If the power of the self-destruction reached him, he wouldn't be able to resist at all and would be annihilated. Fortunately, as the owner of the Life Seal, Chu Fengmian could mobilize the power of the Life Seal to protect himself in this world. The collision between the self-destruction of the Blood Moon Monarch and the power of the mysterious whale's horn was far beyond Chu Fengmian's ability to intervene. Chu Fengmian stood aside, waiting for the result of the collision between the two forces. The collision of the forces lasted for more than 10 minutes before it gradually subsided. Chu Fengmian looked over. At the center of this collision, countless cracks had appeared in the world sealed by the common life Great Seal. In the end, the space sealed by the Great Seal of Life was still broken. At the center of the collision, Bloody Moon Evil Master was nowhere to be seen. However, Chu Fengmian could still smell a little blood from the cracks in the space, which made him frown. The Blood Moon Monarch still managed to escape. Chu Fengmian muttered to himself. Although the Blood Moon Monarch had just self-destructed, it was still his final trump card. But Chu Fengmian could see that this was just Bloody Moon Evil Master's final trump card. Although he blew himself up, his purpose was to win a chance of survival by blowing himself up. For someone like the Blood Moon Monarch, as long as he had a trace of strength left to escape, he could recover. Although the Blood Moon Monarch had to consume a lot of resources to recover his strength, the Blood Moon Monarch was born in the realm Demon Heaven and possessed the bloodline of the Blood Moon Monarch. Even in the realm Demon Heaven, the Blood Moon Monarch had a very high status. Although there were many resources to recover his strength, the Blood Moon Monarch might be able to bear it. The Blood Moon Monarch had self-destructed to resist the power of the mysterious whale's horn and to break the space sealed by the Life Seal. He had achieved both of these things. If I had stepped into the celestial realm, the Blood Moon Monarch would have died today. What a pity! Chu Fengmian shook his head. The Blood Moon Monarch had been forced into a desperate situation when it self-destructed. If Chu Fengmian could take action at this time, killing the Blood Moon Monarch would be as easy as crushing an ant. But just now, at the center of the collision, the violent collision power was far beyond what Chu Fengmian could bear. If Chu Fengmian intervened, Chu Fengmian would die in the collision of the two forces before Bloody Moon Evil Master died. This time, Chu Fengmian had spent more than 1,000 immortal stones to lay out a plan to kill the Blood Moon Monarch in one fell swoop. This time, it could be considered a failure. The Blood Moon Monarch still managed to escape. However, Chu Fengmian was not discouraged. He also knew that this result was the best he could do. Unless Chu Fengmian stepped into the celestial being realm, he could rush into the center of the collision of forces to kill Bloody Moon Evil Master. Otherwise, there was no chance to kill Bloody Moon Evil Master. Although the Blood Moon Monarch had escaped, the price it had paid was extremely high. When Bloody Moon Evil Master self-detonated, he had used up more than 99% of his strength. It could be said that although Bloody Moon Evil Master had escaped, his strength was less than 1/10 of his original strength. Even if the Blood Moon Monarch had a high status and could obtain countless resources and sacred elixir pills, it would take several years for it to completely recover to its current level. It could be said that Chu Fengmian did not need to worry about the Blood Moon Monarch for several years. Although several years were extremely short for a martialist, the speed at which Chu Fengmian's strength was increasing was simply unimaginable. The next time Chu Fengmian encountered the Blood Moon Monarch after several years, he would most likely have already stepped into the celestial realm. At that time, even if Chu Fengmian encountered the Blood Moon Monarch, he would still be in the celestial realm. It would be hard to say who would emerge victorious. Chu Fengmian's gaze was fixed in the direction of the Blood Moon Monarch's self-destruction. He wanted to see if there was anything left behind by the Blood Moon Monarch. Although there was only emptiness in front of his eyes, Chu Fengmian could sense that there was something hidden in the depths of this world. Come out. Chu Fengmian condensed his spiritual power and made a grabbing motion. His palm traversed the space and reached for the depths of the space. A ray of light suddenly detected Chu Fengmian within the empty ring. It accelerated abruptly and turned into a streak of light in an attempt to escape. However, Chu Fengmian was now the only master in the world of the Life Seal. With a thought, he immediately activated the power of the Life Great Seal. The space immediately froze, and the escape light also stopped. Chu Fengmian took the opportunity to grab it, and the light fell into Chu Fengmian's palm. At the same time, Chu Fengmian suppressed the streak of light with several restrictions, making it impossible for it to escape. Then, Chu Fengmian looked at the palm of his hand. First, he set a small goal. For example, 1 second. Remember, book Guest House, you're tuning into the Mythic Realms YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.